Did you miss me? Tonight on the Black Channel here. Oh, we're going to be cooking with gas. We're not going to let off of them here. Well, folks, the Democrats are pushing reparations now. For all the people out there who doubted, questioned, said, well, Jason, are you sure it's going to break down the way you said it was going to? Are you certain of that? I mean, yeah, we know you've been saying this the whole time and your track record's pretty good on this, but is it really going to go that way? People, Trump ain't been in the White House for a month, and here come the Democrats, and I want you to be very, very clear now. This is not just one person. This is the Democrat Party scrambling for something. If you want to know if they got the message, folks, all I wanted you to understand from the last election, the lesson to take away from this was, did they get the message? And I am here to explain to you all here tonight, message received. And deal with it, nigga. They got the message. And as I predicted before the election, that they were going to scramble, I said they're going to give lip service. They're going to tell you, oh, we really need to do something about reparations here. All of a sudden, the things that we had to put people in a damn headlock and put them in a chokehold for 5 years ago. Ain't nobody coming with the, you expect me to do something just for black people now? All that energy is gone, y'all. Tell me where that energy is now. For the folks who wanted to act like they were going to teach us something, tell me where the you expect me to do something just for black people energy is now. I can't find it. Been looking high and low, near and wide, and I can't find that energy now. Ain't that amazing how damn quickly some folks got some act right? When you let the dogs run wild on them and say, you know what, we just gonna sit back and, well, y'all gonna get tore up too. We've been getting tore up out here. That's the whole damn point. While you all are sitting in your ivory towers, sitting back, kicking up your feet and cooling. It's like, no. No, let the dogs come on up in here. Let them run wild for a minute and show you how bad things can really get, and then we will sit here and we'll let it happen. You're not gonna sit up here and give us lip service anymore. So whole different ball game unfolding, and they sent out Ayanna Pressley. They sent her out. Now, what I want to do, I want to play for you some from a press conference she put together. And I have the picture showing in the way it does, because as soon as you see what's on your screen, you're going to realize what's going on. And well. Oh, boy. I see the little banner they have in front of them, the banners they got behind them. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought y'all were doing something new. I thought we weren't doing political stunts anymore. I thought this was something new, but I'm looking on my screen and I'm seeing some familiar letters and numbers on my screen here. And I'm like, wait a minute. Something ain't right. Now, you can listen to what she had to say for herself here. I'm going to play a few minutes of this. Fair use, by the way, Ayanna. Fair use here, by the way. But I wanted to go ahead because she wants people to know that she's pushing for reparations here and that the Democrat Party is going to be, or at least she wants to make it look that way. Here's what she had to say.
Justice, accountability, and healing for Black America. All right, good afternoon, and thank you, everyone, for braving the inclement weather as we gather to take an essential step forward in the long and ongoing fight for justice, accountability, and healing for Black America. Today, I'm deeply honored to reintroduce H.R. 40, historic legislation to establish a federal commission to examine the lasting legacy of slavery, to develop reparations proposals for descendants of enslaved Africans.
Proposals for descendants of enslaved Africans. Well, I guess she wasn't gonna come out and say something as direct as freedmen, and certainly wasn't going to say foundational, so she wasn't gonna say that. descendants of enslaved Africans. I got an issue with that. I have the issue I think a lot of you have with that, because my question here is, Miss Presley and all you Northeastern black folk who want to emulate the white liberals who reared you and raised you, are you referring to just here under the American government? Or is this going to be they was enslaved in the Caribbean, they was enslaved in Africa, and, we kind of contributed to that. Because we're talking about the people who were all my 14th Amendment folks. I covered this last week. My 14th Amendment people. We're talking about the people who were forced under the jurisdiction of the North American government. So, we don't know this is not a racism package, and this is not a all Negroes need apply package. No. Not at all. That's not what we're doing here. So, like I say, first of all, we're going to have to get that clarified and cleaned up before we go any further, as if we were going any further. But that's the first thing we have to say there is, by the way, let me stop you right quick. I don't know what you mean by that. So you're going to have to clarify that it is limited to the descendants of slavery in America. If it is not limited to that, throw the whole damn thing away. Well, we're not even going to get started. We're not even going to start talking about this. Throw it away.
It is an honor to inherit the privilege of carrying this bill forward. Amen. From Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. In my last correspondence with her, she said, keep working on our priorities and never give up. She was the previous House sponsor of H.R. 40 and a true giant in the movement for reparative justice. We are grateful for her leadership. We are grateful for her example and her voice. May she rest in peace and power.
What did she lead us to? I'm asking for a friend. Her leadership, what did she lead us to? I know what she led herself to and her family there. I know what she led them to, but what exactly did she lead us to, ma'am? I'm asking for a friend.
And we are grateful to be joined here today by her daughter, former Congresswoman Erica Lee Carter, who today, when I thanked her for braving the elements to journey here, said true justice is never convenient.
Oh, that's who they were leading. Oh, I think I just mentioned that she was leading for other people. Oh, yeah, the daughter. Yeah. Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah, there you go. Moving right along.
I want to acknowledge some of our partners in good trouble in this fight. Senator Cory Booker.
Good trouble. Goodness.
Some of our partners in good trouble in this fight. Senator Cory Booker, our co-lead in the Senate. Chairwoman Yvette Clarke of the Congressional Black Caucus. Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Congresswoman Latifah Simon. Congresswoman Summer Lee. And the more than 70 members of Congress who have signed on to co-sponsor the legislation that was first introduced. And I want to make this point because it is Black History Month. And while there are those that are
70 members of Congress, you have far more than 70 Democrats in Congress. Now, to make one thing clear to you all, and I won't belabor the issue, by the way, Congress is the House of Representatives. I know people call both houses collectively Congress, but in reality, there's the Congress and the Senate. The House of Representatives is the Congress and the Senate is. You get the idea. But I won't nitpick over that. But there are more than 70 Democrats in the Congress, that is the House of Representatives. There's more than 70 there. Far more than 70. And what she's telling me is that you got 70 of them who have signed on for it. And then the rest of them are like, yeah, we ain't really got no position on that. We can't really support that. Really? And my thing about it is, for something this important, I don't think we can support anything that the rest of you are doing if you don't support this. There's my position on it. If the other Democrats there, damn near 3 times as many, if the other Democrats don't support this, what the hell you supporting anything they got to say for? It's like, hey, hold on a second. Quid pro quo, this for that. One hand washes the other. I represent some people, and they ain't taking no for a damn answer. So I don't think I can support your Democrat bridge in Missouri because you ain't on board for reparations. I don't think I can support that. I don't think I can vote for nothing you offering. Put your little signature over here, then we'll talk about your penny in the ass bridge. Put your signature over here, and then we'll talk about that. Until then, we ain't got nothing to say. Now, that's the way you're supposed to do it when you actually have representation. But I just wanted to point out to you all that, by the way, you got way more than 70 Democrats in Congress, damn near 3 times that number, and yet only 70? Only a third? Only a third are signed up for it? Really? Only a third? Well, I'm like, that third of the Democrats can keep anything from happening. If this were really a priority, they'd be like, yeah, we don't want to hear nothing y'all got to say. Nothing moves forward till we do this.
Are working actively either to erase our history of Congress who have signed on to co-sponsor the legislation that was first introduced. And I want to make this point because it is Black History Month. And while there are those that are...
Okay, what does that matter? This is Black History Month. We're doing a stunt here. Looking like a stunt now.
...that was first introduced. And I want to make this point because it is Black History Month. And while there are those that are working actively either to erase our history or to whitewash it, that I'm here in this moment to pick up the mantle of this historic legislation that has been championed by Congressman John Conyers, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. That was introduced more than 30 years ago when Congressman John Conyers was a co-founder of the Congressional Black Caucus. We're at a critical inflection point in America, and the moment cannot be more urgent. With Black history under attack and white supremacy emboldened, there is no better time to introduce this bill than during Black History Month, a time when we reflect on our history, our struggle, and our collective power. And I'll say, it is also not only about Black history, but it is about Black futures. More than 4 centuries ago, Africans were kidnapped, trafficked, and enslaved, forced to build this country under horrific brutality, an economy which we still benefit from today. Rice, sugar, tobacco, cotton. And even after the Civil War, emancipation, and the 13th Amendment, the legacy of slavery endured in other forms, codified in law to deny Black Americans freedom, opportunity, and dignity. And that's what brings us here today. This brutality, these injustices, these horrors were not things just happened within the culture by osmosis. They were legislated. Today, with Donald Trump and Republicans waging their coordinated and at times unlawful assault.
Okay, now here's where we gonna stop you. Because it was Democrats who were pushing most of what happened after chattel slavery. What? It was Democrats who were pushing that. So to try to use this as an opportunity to point the fingers at Republicans, I'm like, by the way, the Democrats are the ones who codified those things in the law. Those were the ones who were stomping 10 toes down after chattel slavery was over. It was the Democrats. So first of all, let's put that historical context on it. Second of all, it's the Democrats who came up with the benign neglect strategy in order to continue it going on even further, which is what we are dealing with to this very day, is the benign neglect strategy. That they give lip service to, ooh, that's bad what happened to y'all, but when we get to the, okay, what are you going to do part, all of a sudden it becomes, well, that's tough, man. That's difficult to do. Now, for illegal aliens, oh, here's a check. Ukrainians, here's a check. Afghans, here's a check. Jewish folk, here's a check. Latinos, here's a check. Asians, oh, here's a big check. We show up where, it's tough, man. It's hard. I don't know what we're going to do. Where we going to find the money at? Where we going to find the money? We don't know where it's going to come from. We don't know what we're going to do. Asians show back up. Hey, I need another check, Negro. Oh, here you go, boss. So to be clear, it is the Democrats who have been pushing the line of demagoguery and slavery and oppression by the fact that every time somebody else shows up, they sit up here and resolve their issue. And we're going to get into some deep facts about that here tonight. So tonight's program is going to be heavy on numbers and facts. It's going to be heavy on that. I'm going to bring up a couple of concrete examples to help put this in its proper perspective. But Ayanna Pressley is here to tell you that we would like to discuss HR 40, that she wants to pick that up. And after 30 years, it has moved exactly nowhere. After 30 years, it has moved exactly nowhere. And let's be clear, if the Democrats had a real priority of this is from 2021. Damn. There's Joe and Jill Biden. Well, there they are. Well, I'll be damned. Well, back in 2021, the Democrats had a majority in all three houses. They had the presidency, they had the Congress. Kamala Harris was the vote tiebreaker, and she used that very liberally. She bragged about all the times that she was the tiebreaker on votes. And yet, for this issue, it never came up for her to be a tiebreaker. Now, isn't that interesting? She never was able to be a tiebreaker for something we really wanted. Interesting. But yeah, for those of you who've forgotten, 2021, the Democrats had the presidency, the House, and the Senate. And they pushed things all right. They pushed things for Asians, illegal aliens. Oh, everybody except us. Oh, wait a minute. Joe Biden told us that we need to get behind Hispanics. That's what the first thing he had to say. So for 3 decades now, it's been out there. They pretended it didn't exist. People, remember, it was Bernie Sanders. Don't tell me about no damn Republicans. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, we've been documenting all this. They were the ones who told us what reparation. Reparations for what? So you see, Representative Pressley, you need to get back over there with the white folk in your party, and you need to be having a powwow with them. Don't tell me no damn thing about Donald Trump when you got Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren sitting there looking in our cameras telling us reparations for what? You think you're going to sit up here and play that damn con game and we're not going to go for it? If the Democrats were in favor of reparations, why the hell can I sit up here and tell you Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and every other white Democrat and a bunch of the black ones, none of y'all have supported reparations. None of you. None. But you bring it up because you heard the grassroots talking. You heard the grassroots making noise. You heard the grassroots say, no reparations, no vote. You heard the grassroots and you realized this is a problem and it's not gonna go away. So now you're scrambling. See if you can come up with something else. Well, we'll give it lip service. Well, isn't there a reparations bill somewhere? Why are we shouting we're against Trump? You need to be against Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. That's who you need to be against. Right there. Right there. So that the next time that the Democrats have a majority, you make sure you got their damn minds right. Say, okay, we're going to do this. But they're not stupid and they're not dumb and they're not illiterate. Folks, we're back with the same damn trick bag again. They didn't rinsed off HR 40 thinking that we never read it. Man, we beat this down over a decade ago. We read the damn thing. Don't worry. We'll review it.
on black folks and black history. We will not allow that history to be erased. We will not allow it to be whitewashed. H.R. 40 is a powerful reminder of the work that remains and offers us a pathway toward truth, reconciliation, and accountability.
H.R. 40 is a reminder. Well, if the purpose is to remind people, then there's really no benefit to passing it, since it has already achieved its objective, which is to be there to remind you. We didn't ask for no damn reminders or mementos. We didn't ask for a souvenir. We said give us the same damn thing you done gave these other folk times 10, since we're the ones who need it times 10, and we've been victimized times 10. All this damn smoke and mirrors and jive talk to sit up here and avoid what we told you already. So once again, they've tried out some females, and the white folk in the party, Nancy Pelosi and friends, yeah, they got the money they stole from the stock market and things, and they're trying it again. Hey, this will be something to offer them there. This will catch some headlines, and it did. Just not the headlines you were looking for.
To be clear, this bill is not a symbolic gesture, but rather a meaningful step toward repairing the deep structural injustices that continue to harm black communities. A powerful reminder of the work that remains and offers us a pathway toward truth, reconciliation, and accountability. To be clear, this bill is not a symbolic gesture, but rather a meaningful step toward repairing the deep structural injustices that continue to harm black communities today. The racial wealth gap in America is not an accident. In Boston, my home city, the Federal Reserve counts black wealth at just $8, compared to the wealth of white households at $247,500. Nationwide, the racial wealth gap is over 10 trillion. That's trillion with a T. This shameful reality is the direct result of generations of precise, intentional policy harm codified into our laws and budgets. And it is specifically the result of slavery and the anti-black society that followed. From Jim Crow to redlining to mass incarceration, our government, through policies and budgets, has perpetuated and entrenched these harms for generations. The disparities that we see in health outcomes, housing, education, wealth, and more are by design. Today, our government has a moral and legal obligation to right those wrongs, and reparations are a necessary step towards achieving justice. Now, here's what the bill would do. H.R. 40 creates a federal commission, an expert body charged with investigating the enduring impacts of slavery and its aftermath, and developing concrete proposals for reparations. This is a pragmatic policy that is fundamentally about repairing harm and building.
Now, did you see that little sleight of hand right there? Let me go ahead and remind you all of why that was a verbal sleight of hand she just gave. All the things that have harmed us, people, listen to me. All the things that have harmed us were, you use the word laws, but what is a law? The law is merely public policy. I want you to think of it in those terms because that's what it is. It is the policy of the society, the policy of the public. So when you have laws, amendments, whatever is the overriding legal doctrine, that is the public policy that you are living under. All these things that have victimized us, they weren't just somebody's opinion. They weren't just somebody's thought. They weren't just somebody's personal principle. The random white man on the corner screaming nigger while he's panhandling for change, that's not racism. A system that supports and defends injustice being inflicted on you, that is racism right there. A system that gets together in an organized fashion and deprives you of your rights. Well, that's racism right there. Because that is policy. It's written in law, which means this will be enforced. Oh, this is the policy. that we are going to enforce and live by. And everything that she just named, those were all public policy. I brought that up because I want you to understand that was a verbal sleight of hand she just used right there. And it's very important for you to recognize when they're using the word black, 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 and say black, 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 black. Oh, racism, racism, black, black, black. And then when they give you the swerve, because in case you missed it, I want you to hear what the swerve was here again.
Jim Crow to redlining to mass incarceration.
Now, those were all policy. I can't say they were, they are. Those are all policies, people. Those are laws. So that is policy. Now, she lists policies, but then take a look what she does right after that.
Intentional policy harm codified into our laws and budgets. And it is specifically the result of slavery and the anti-black society that followed. From Jim Crow to redlining to mass incarceration, our government, through policies and budgets, has perpetuated and entrenched these harms for generations. The disparities that we see in health outcomes, housing, education, wealth, and more are by design. Today, our government has a moral and legal obligation to right those wrongs, and reparations are a necessary step towards achieving justice. Now, here's what the bill would do. H.R. 40 creates a federal commission, an expert body charged with investigating the enduring impacts of slavery and its aftermath, and developing concrete proposals for reparations.
People, everything she named were policies, but she's saying now we need to get together and discuss examination and developing things. People, that's not policy. Examination, study, commission, that's not policy. You just named off a bunch of policies inflicted on us, and then what you're offering is everything except a new policy. Which is the whole point, people. Everything she just named, the problem with H.R. 40 is that ain't policy. We said we need a new policy to overturn and defeat this racist white supremacist current policy. And they're talking to you about everything except a new policy. Now, for the damn illegal aliens who aren't even supposed to be standing on the soil, Ayanna Pressley will tell you, damn the law, it is the policy of the city of Boston. What? That illegals are sanctified, sanctuary, saved, whatever it is, in our city. Well, that's the policy. Did you see the difference there? She's not even offering non-citizens a study. And they're not eligible for a damn thing. They're breaking the damn law just standing here. It's an insult that they would even be standing there, and yet she's not suggesting that they be given a study. She is, even though they are totally in the wrong and they're trespassing, while she wants to give you policy to illegals and studies and principles and examination to the foundation. If you all caught the trick bag, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's over 4,500 people in here live in just the first 28 minutes. But if you all agree with what I'm saying here, give me the money bag emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. If you all are liking this, if there's more white supremacists than folks watching, I might wrap it up early. So I wanted you to see there that she's already at work. We are going to discuss policy that has been inflicted and enacted and executed against you, but her solution is, let's study it. An examination, not a new policy. Well, Jason, how do you know what needs to be done? They know what needs. They're legislators, damn it. They already know what needs to be done. But the simple answer here is you take a look at whatever was done to a person to victimize them, and then you do exactly the opposite. That's reparations. So whatever was done from us, whatever was taken from us, that is what needs to be restored. We don't have to discuss about it and examine it. You already know. If you know what was done to us, then you already know what you need to do. And they do know what they need to do. I want y'all to understand something. There's a big argument, a big fight that's going on among the Democrats right now. They are angry. They are mad. They are throwing furniture. They're cursing each other out. It's civil war. It's bedlam over there. And here's the issue. According to Hakeem Jeffrey's office, and they've talked about this on the Young Turks, they've talked about this on multiple YouTube channels, they said that the folks in Washington, they're sick of even answering their phones, that they are getting thousands of phone calls among the Democrats saying, look at all this havoc that Trump is wreaking. What are you all going to do? You look weak. You look impotent. Trump is steamrolling folks. What are you going to do to push back? And they don't have an answer. So the answer that their deficient, completely incompetent operatives gave them, and please remember, the same incompetent operatives who lost the election for Kamala Harris, they're still there. What? Folks, they're still there. Those people are still there, still on the payroll, and still giving, quote, advice today. And what they've told the Democrats is, you need to get out there and be seen. You need to get out there and speak to folks' issues. You need to get out there and hold press conferences about what you want to do. Trump wants to take away their rights. You need to hold a press conference to talk about how you want to restore it, even if you're not really going to do it. You need to be visible on the issues that matter to these people. You need to be visible. And that black vote has backed all the damn hell the way out. You need to definitely be super visible for them. Well, isn't black society a matriarchy? Not really, but okay. It's a government-influenced feminist-archy. But, well, send some black women out there to deliver and recycle the same old slop. And that was the answer that they obviously settled on. Send some black women out there to sell the same damn line and get them slaves back on the plantation. And we gotta do it early. We can't wait until next year to say something. You gotta do it now. I told you all in 2020, I said in 2021, I said, all the stuff that Joe Biden is saying, listen to me. You can go back and play my programs from the archives with Ketanji Brown Jackson and others. I said, y'all, that's what he's going to say when he runs for re-election. I never believed that he was only going to serve one term. I said this from day one. He's going to run for re-election. Everybody else was talking about he wasn't. I said, he's going to run for re-election. Yeah, he is. Absolutely. He absolutely will. And I told everybody starting in 2021, remember this microphone, the only one that told you that in 2022, Joe Biden would declare the pandemic over. I said it 6 months in advance. Nobody on the internet, television, or anywhere else said that and predicted that. I said to everyone in 2021, he's going to declare the pandemic over in 2022. Everybody's like, how do you figure that? It's re-election. And what they're doing is outrageously unpopular. He's going to declare it over in 2022 and say, vote Democrat. What happened in 2022? He declared it over and said, vote Democrat. And that tamped down the so-called red wave that was coming. Okay, well, people, I also said, well, take a look at the little modest things that he's done. He's going to tell black folk, what I've done for you is Ketanji Brown Jackson, Juneteenth, and some scholarships and diabetes medication. I brought down insulin prices. I told everybody he's going to tell us that that's what he's done for black people. And everyone was like, no, Jason, that's not right. I had people, remember, I had folks arguing with me in the chat room, folks calling me up and arguing and saying, well, Jason, that's not right. That can't be right because he did all of that within the first couple of years. So certainly he doesn't think he's going to coast for the 2 years after that off of something that was done in the first couple of years. I said, yes, he will. He's already done it. Everything that he's going to do, he's already done that. There won't be anything else. And he's going to tell you that take a look at what I did. Folks, 2 years later, for that 2 years, nothing happened. Oh, well, when he ran for re-election, he went down the list. It was exactly what I said Yeah. Juneteenth. Insulin. Yeah, ain't that enough? I called racism white supremacy. Ain't that enough? And Roland Martin confirmed it. D.L. Hughley and the rest of them confirmed it. Yeah, that's all we're going to do. And then that's why we studied that, and that's why we followed it. We followed what they were doing. We tracked what they were doing. We documented it. I showed it to you here. Yeah, when it was actually time to talk. Yeah, what he did, that's enough for y'all. We've been done that. And then D.L. Hughley said the quiet part out loud. You know, you got to think about folk other than yourself. Black folks are doing good. You got to think about folks other than yourself. Exactly what I told people it was going to be. And here we are. 4 years later, rinse and repeat. Hey, you black folk, you feel invisible? I'm not afraid to say reparations. Yeah, you're just afraid to give reparations. That's all. You're just afraid to give it. The problem is the audience is not nearly as uninformed as you wish they were, and everyone sees through the damn trick bag.
This is a pragmatic policy that is fundamentally about repairing harm and building a more just America.
A study is not policy, ma'am. A study is not policy. A study is not policy.
Whether you are in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Trenton, New Jersey, or Mattapan in the Massachusetts 7th.
What the hell did your Democrat Department of Justice do about Tulsa? Oh, Kristen Clark, let me tell you that there's a reason why folks are sitting back. Kristen Clark had every opportunity to do something. She let the mother of white supremacy, Carolyn Bryant, off the damn hook. That was Kristen Clark who did that. Your so-called black sister girl, not of our lineage and certainly not of our code of conduct, had no problem letting an historical American Nazi-ess go. Sat up here, she was alive at the time, and they did nothing. They waited until she was peacefully dead and said, oh, well, niggas can't do nothing now. Can't do nothing about it now. So why do we need to support you when you were there? That was an easy damn win. That was an easy win that you could have had. Grab her old ass by the hair, yank her out there, dragging her damn oxygen tank, sling her ass in the damn paddy wagon like they did Freddie Gray. You damn right. Damn. Bounce her old ass down to the damn place there, get that mugshot up there and going, plaster it around there, and then say, vote for me. Then say, vote for me. Well, there's a campaign slogan we all could have got behind. But you see, you weren't going to do that. They were not going to do that because, I said it then, they don't want to set the precedent that we're going to get what the Jews have gotten, or that we're going to get what white folk have gotten. They don't want to set that precedent, that black people can come back and grab a white person for what they did decades ago and punish them to the fullest extent of the law. They didn't want to set that precedent, so it was imperative that that not occur. And then what you find out is just how many of these so-called Negroes in the party are actually their puppet white supremacists. They're front men and front women to do their dirty work for them because they're disposable.
Congressional district. This is about ensuring that every person has a fair chance at the American dream. Now, I know some like to think that Rosa sat, Martin marched, and John crossed a bridge, and we were free. But we're...
Wow, to try to put John Lewis together with Dr. King and Rosa Parks and real luminaries, y'all need to just quit. There are no black people and absolutely no young black people talking about, I wish I could be... You've never seen a meme with John Lewis except one laughing at his ass. Damn! Folks, don't believe Jason Black. Go online. There are no memes with people talking about how much they admire John Lewis. You see him talking about Dr. King. You see him talk about Rosa Parks. You see him talk about Malcolm X. Ain't nobody on their timeline showing John Lewis and talking about how they wish they were more like him or how we should do things the way he did it. This is how stupid and outrageously dumb their party is. Well, John's the one we want to promote. Okay, the people have rejected him. Go push it anyway, because that's where they need to go. This is a bum steer. It won't move. Well, he's our accepted Negro, so keep pumping it anyway. This is how out of their damn minds these folks are.
We're still very much in the civil rights movement. Every day, the progress that we have fought for, the gains that have been made, are under assault and being rolled back. Donald Trump and his co-president Elon Musk and their enablers in Congress and the courts are working overtime to strip away our rights, from gutting affirmative action, dismantling voting rights, to attacking diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives that benefit black folks and everyone who calls this country home. I think it's really important in these times that we call a thing a thing. We're in a moment of anti-blackness on steroids, and we refuse to be silent.
We're in a moment of anti-blackness on steroids. People, I said this now for a decade. I understand that turning around an ocean liner, it takes time. Folks with short attention spans who expect things to get resolved within a 30-minute sitcom or a 60-second TikTok video. That ain't the way life works. So when I told you a decade ago that, hey, if you are waiting on CNN or MSNBC to give you an accurate assessment of when things are changing in our favor, you might as well go ahead and bury yourself now, because it's never going to happen. The reason people tune in here to the new black media and the voice of black America is specifically because we've been able to state these things in advance. We've been able to call it in advance and accurately gauge when things were changing. And you'll remember about a decade ago, I told you things are changing. The national narrative, the national conversation, the national vernacular is changing. I documented it when we went from talking about racism, white supremacy, to no longer saying white racism and it's all white supremacy. That came from the grassroots. That came from us. That came from the soil, not from the top down. That came from us. And then when reparations broke into the mainstream and became the discussion on the campaign trail, that came from the soil. When cut the check came from here and was being mentioned by presidential candidates and now in state legislatures, that came from the soil. And now anti-black. I told y'all, and you shouldn't be terribly surprised. I told you when they start losing, all of a sudden they're going to get some act right. And the language that you have heard created and coined by the new black media, you will eventually, when these folks get their asses in the jam and have to start accepting that, okay, we better start changing some things, they're gonna flick, remember what I said, they're gonna flick a few crumbs off the table and say, okay, well, we'll use some of the language that you all use. Now, we said policy. Well, I can use some of the language. We're listening. We hear you. I know you hear us because you've been ignoring us. I didn't say I want to hear you. I knew you were hearing us when you didn't say a word. We knew you heard us when you were ignoring us. We're now saying that you better start saying our policy. Well, I flick a crumb off the table. You know, anti-black, white supremacy, reparations. Flicking some crumbs off the table to see if acknowledgement will work on us the way it did the civil rights generation. So that's the real reason that she's doing that. But I'm just stopping for a moment so you all can acknowledge and understand. Well, all of a sudden your politicians are using our exact vernacular. There's talking specifically about white supremacy and racism and economics and reparation and anti-black. So her job is to go out here. If you want to know who it was, they got together. They had a little powwow and they got together and they finally decided who it was who would be sent out to deliver the black vote. Who would be the point person to do it? We can obviously see that they settled on Ayanna. And they told her, you go out and do it. Of all the folk we got here, we think you got the most credibility to be able to deliver this message. You go out there and tell your folk that we hear you, and you go out there and get them back in line. Get them back on the team. So now we know who was elected and nominated to go do that job. And she's used all the code words and all the trigger words that you would expect to see. All the words that we use, she was the one sent out to say those things. So that means this is specifically targeting us. And I don't have a problem with the fact that she came out to specifically target us with a message. I got a problem with the damn message. Now, that I got a problem with. And let me be clear about something right now, folks. Let me be very, very clear to everybody listening to me right here. You know that I'm one of Ayanna's favorite people. Lie. Who pushed that button? Who did that? Anyway, moving right along. You all know that me and Ayanna have gotten along swimmingly now for years. And, sometimes our relationship has been, shall we say, colorful. Sometimes that's been the case. Me and Ayanna, look, people, it's complicated. It's complicated, okay? Let me just say it like that. Sometimes we're cold, sometimes we're hot, sometimes we're in between, you work through things. But let me just say this in all seriousness. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't care if it's Ayanna Pressley. I don't care if it's Donald Trump. I don't give a damn if it's Ichabod Crane and the Jack-o'-lantern. I don't care who it is. Did he bring my tangibles? Whoever that is, that's who I'm supporting. I don't care if he's got a D, R, FHJ. I don't care what initial is behind the name. Did you bring what the hell I told you to bring? I don't give a damn who the messenger is. Did he deliver the damn message? So, folks, if you are expecting me to be a permanent adversary of Ayanna Pressley, you's a damn fool and you have not paid any attention to what we're talking about here. You just need to go back watching Instagram Reels and sit up, eat Skittles and play on your Xbox if you got one. That's where you need to be. You don't need to be over here with the adults. This is too mature for you. This is adult stuff. Get back in your playpen. Over here in the real world, I don't give a damn who it is. Did they deliver my tangibles? And if you are expecting me to have a permanent grudge against Ayanna Pressley, she's going to have to do a hell of a whole lot worse than I've seen so far to make that happen. I have no problem supporting her if she would actually deliver what the hell we said to do. Now that I will support. I'm not going to support smoke and mirrors. I'm not going to support trick bag language. I'm not going to support jive talk. We're not going to support carefully placed trigger words meant to sit up here and think, ooh, they using our words there. Yeah, you can go tell your speechwriters, yeah, we picked up on that. We noticed you're using our vocabulary. We didn't ask you to use our vocabulary. As a matter of fact, let me go ahead and say something right here again tonight to remind you all, and I do not like to do this. I wish we had a more organized, formal process where we did not have to do this kind of stuff here in public, but I'm going to say this here right now. I don't even think we should be saying the word reparations anymore. What? I don't think so. It's a target. Right now, the momentum is on the other side of the table. And to be totally honest with you, power is supposed to be invisible. We are all supposed to understand reparations and understand the elements of reparative justice without ever having to say that word. Now, that doesn't mean that we are not students of reparations and that we've not been taught about reparations. But folks, the rest of these folk out here, I told you, Lee Atwater said, well, you used to say nigga, nigga, nigga. Okay, well, that was saying the quiet part out loud. That's telling everybody what the damn deal is. When you say nigga, 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 you saying what the damn deal is. Lee Atwater told him, no, fall back on that. Fall back, stop it. You're doing too much. Stop. And then it changed to, okay, well, go after affirmative action and quotas and busing. Okay, that fell out of fashion. Okay, tax policy, Department of Education. Yeah, nobody's saying nigga, nigga, nigger anymore. The memo was sent out. Don't say that anymore. Stop it. And you know what the biggest memo was that was sent out? That wasn't the biggest. The biggest, most dominant, and most effective memo that was sent out was the one that said, don't say white. Damn! People, we recognize folk of races all over the place. Whenever they get on the news, they talk about everybody's race except one. They don't talk about the condition of white people. No white on white crime, white poverty, white schooling. The word white, you're not allowed to say that. And furthermore, they won't bring it up. You can't go to a school board meeting or anywhere else where they talk about what we need to do for white folk. They don't say anything about what they need to do for white folk. They just get to doing it. Nobody uses the word white. So you go around with policies that you know are targeting white people for preferential treatment, but you can't hit it because everybody's saying, well, nobody said this is for white folk. And of course, that's the damn game. That's the con game. Well, take a look at this document here. There's not the word white. I mean, well, all the CEOs are white and all the executives are white and all the chairmen are white and all the academics, all the congressmen are white. Yeah, but there's nothing here stopping you. I mean, you can get in there too. I mean, there's nothing here that says white. How are we going to give ourselves preferential? How can you say that there's preferential treatment for white people and I'm showing you a whole damn law and there isn't the word white in it anywhere? How are you going to tell us that we're giving preferential treatment to white folk? We don't even use the word white. We're just people. We're just all Americans. We don't even use the word white. You're the one obsessed with race. Talking about this blackness and affirmative action. You're the one obsessed with race. What? We don't even talk about race over here. Why? We don't even talk about being white. We're just people. I just caught you all up to the last 200 years of slavery and racism and white supremacy in America in just a couple of minutes. That's exactly the way it's executed. And I want you to understand, by the way, that was wise because they took away your ability to be able to target it properly. You're going around, you recognize racism, you see it everywhere, but it's impossible for you to target it when you start saying, okay, let's go ahead and start chipping away at this preferential treatment for whites. So they've removed your ability to target that if you're going at it for white. And what I'm saying is that for what we're supposed to be doing, we need to do the same damn thing. We need to do the same damn things. We need to stop giving them easy targets. Yes, we need to organize and understand why we are here. But when we break up this huddle and get out there, we need to move differently. We cannot sit up here and put every damn thing up there we're supposed to. And understand, this is coming from the guy who bought the billboards for reparations. That's cool. That's great. That's legit. But when we move and start making laws and proposals, yeah, remove that altogether. If you want to know where my position on it is now, remove that word altogether. The very fact that Fox News and our enemies know that word, that means that we need to pivot. I'm saying this now officially tonight. The very fact that Ron DeSantis, Donald Trump, Fox News, all the right wing and left wing white supremacists, the fact that they even know about this, that's the point right there. We got to pivot. We got to pivot. The fact that they know Fight Club exists, the fact that they can tell us about it and that it's there, they already know. We done said too much. People, we done said too much. And I hate, because we can't sit up here with nobody built institutions for us to be able to talk to each other behind closed doors like these other folk got. The NAACP, useless. Your sororities and fraternities, damn useless. The black church, past useless. But if we had that, we could do this on the low like Dr. King and them and whatnot and keep it in the family. But unfortunately, we got to get on damn YouTube and broadcast to the freaking planet. But folks, the fact that they can say those words and they know what they mean, they're not code words anymore. That was our cue right then. Time to pivot. When you go on Ben Shapiro, when you're on Ben Shapiro and Daily Wire and all these right-wing outlets and they know about this, pivot time. Time to pivot. We need to throw a swerve on it. We said too much. It's gone on too much. They know too much. Time to swerve. Time to pivot. So they'll be fighting over there, and we're going to be like, what reparations? What you mean reparations? We didn't say anything about reparations. We did not say a thing about reparations. We ain't said a word about that. What you mean reparations? Show me where anybody here is talking about reparations, Ben. Who over here is asking for that? So I want to let you all know, if you want to know where Jason Black's position is right now, absolutely. We are proponents and supporters of reparations. The mission will continue. We need to stop advertising. Now, there's the part that does need to change. We need to promote, defend, and accelerate reparative policy, but without using that word. We use that word amongst ourselves. We do not use that word in the general public. We don't go out and that's what we're going to sell to the general public. Not that. It'd be great if you could just speak straightly, but then again, when you start exposing exactly what the hell you're thinking, you make it easier for folks to attack you. And we got to be smarter than that because we're in the weakest position. We can't make everything we doing easy to hit. You can't be the weakest people in the room and simultaneously the easiest to hit in the room if you're ever going to survive. You're going to survive. If you're weak, you better be evasive. So this will be the last update to those of you in the FBI, CIA, Alphabet Soup Boys, white supremacists who listen in. By the way, this will be your last update from us. From here on in, we're going underground. Yeah, that reparations word, yeah, I'm okay letting that go as far as pushing it publicly. I don't even think we should use that word anymore. We should push for the policies and push for the elements of it, but without using that word, so they can no longer attack it.
Back down in our pursuit of racial justice. And while we do the work of resistance and blunting the many harms of this hostile, anti-Black administration, it's imperative that we continue advancing an affirmative agenda for Black America and building momentum toward this critical priority. So today we have a choice. We can continue to uphold an unjust status quo, or we can work actively to disrupt it. We can allow our history to be erased, or we can actively engage in truth-telling. We can and we must confront our past and take meaningful steps to repair the harm that has been done. H.R. 40 is an opportunity to do exactly that.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. So glad that you said that, ma'am. I'm so glad that you have said that H.R. 40 is an opportunity to address that and to deal with that. Well, I think that's great. I think that's wonderful. So why don't we go take a look at it? What? Oh, I know she wasn't expecting this. Why don't we go ahead and take a look at this? Why, what do you know? I just so happen to have, right here on my screen, do my humpty eyes deceive me? Well, there's Ayanna Pressley's website. Well, there's the website right there. Presley.house.gov. Oh, and look at the date. February 12th. 2 days before Valentine's Day. Feel the love. Amid onslaught on DEI, Presley Cory Booker, y'all, Cory Booker was doing so much damn yelling when they shut down USAID. Cory Booker thinks that there's a power vacuum in the Democrat Party, and there is. And he thinks that the rank and file are desperately looking for a leader, and they are. And he thinks that this is his time to fill that gap, and he ain't. But by the way, Cory Booker is trying to raise his profile right now because he thinks he sees an opportunity. Where he failed the previous 2 times, he thinks third time's the charm to be the second coming of Barack Obama. So he's trying to raise his profile, people. He's trying to do it. Okay. So she talks about all this right here. Presley Booker colleagues reintroduce historic reparations bill during Black History Month. H.R. 40 would form commission for developed reparations. Okay, they had the immigrants writing this damn copy. H.R. 40 would form commission for develop reparations proposals for Africa. Their folk didn't even proofread the damn thing. Okay. Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, lasting legacy of slavery, develop reparations proposal. Legislation to establish a federal commission to examine the lasting legacy of slavery and develop reparations proposals for African-American descendants of enslaved people. All right, folks, now let me explain to you how it is that you stop dealing with dumb crap. Ayanna Pressley knows damn well that we already dealt with this in California. We already did the commission song and dance in California. They already saw what the outcome of that was and what the proposals were. There's no reason to have yet another commission at the federal level when your favorite so-called white liberals in California already did that. We already did this song and dance with them. All you got to do is go take a look at what the hell we developed out there. There's no reason to waste our time talking about a commission at the federal level when you already know what we did at the state level. Just do that. With the exception of the veto part, just do that. Now, here's where you get down into the text here and take a look at some of the folk and groups they start naming. They put in bold letters here to let you know who you should be giving thanks to. Congressman Pressley, Senator Booker, former Congresswoman Erica Lee Carter. So we already talked about that. Sheila Jackson Lee. Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, Representative Summer Lee. Doesn't she have an album? Summer Walker? All right. Okay. At a time when we are seeing the erosion of our fundamental rights and freedoms, we have to take bold action to address the longstanding challenges facing black communities, said Congressional Black Caucus Chair Yvette D. Clarke. Y'all heifers are full of bullcrap. All of you. Why didn't you say this mess when Biden was in office? Why weren't you stomping like this then? If this is that important now and it's been on the table the whole damn time, why weren't you stomping for it then? Why weren't you speaking about it in the last 4 damn years? What about that? If this was that important, and it is, where the hell y'all been for the last 4 damn years to go at Biden for this when y'all were sitting there and you had majorities in all the houses? Why weren't you giving this smoke to Biden when he was sitting there? Talking about we need to wait for the Hispanics, Ayanna. Why didn't you why don't you act like you did when Chris Rock made a joke about bald head Jada Pinkett while you were perfectly fine talking crazy and talking salty and smack then? While you wanted niggas to get smacked up over that, you didn't say a damn thing like that about Joe Biden. Not a damn thing. Not a thing. All of a sudden, Trump's in office and now it's important. If you wasn't talking like this when Biden was sitting right there, when y'all had control of the damn government, and now all of a sudden you're going to jump up and going to be talking tough, but you weren't talking tough when Biden was sitting right there? What the hell? This is why it's not going to work for you. It ain't going to work for you. The trick bag thing ain't going to work out. Now take a look at this. To document our past is to protect our future. H.R. 40 helps us do the difficult work of confronting our worst demons to the benefit of all Americans, said Congressional Hispanic Caucus Chair Adriano Espaillat. I hope I didn't slaughter that too badly. I am grateful to Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and Senator Cory Booker for leading this truth and reconciliation effort in honor of the late great Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. Okay, so the so-called Congressional Hispanic Caucus Chair, although you claim we got support, okay, I'd like to do a roll call. Every American deserves a fair shot at success, and that means expanding opportunities for Black Americans who still feel the impact of centuries of racist and discriminatory policies. The systems that were set up for the purpose of holding Black Americans must be dismantled with equal purpose, said Representative Grace Ming, chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. Yet President Trump and congressional Republicans are doing the exact opposite, eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives and cutting vital programs that will hurt Black Americans and communities of color. Listen here, chair of the Congressional Asian Pacific American Caucus. Donald Trump did not dismantle that. Asians teaming together with Ed Blum did that. Asians teaming together with them did that. It didn't take Trump. They did that while Biden was in office. So, ma'am, if you want to do something to help us out here, you need to get your fellow Asians on code because, by the way, they were the ones who ganged up against us to dismantle it. And so glad we have the internet today so that people cannot lose track of these facts. So we don't have to wait for you to stumble across this by accident. We can put this front and center right in front of you. By the way, it was a bunch of Asians who filed to kill affirmative action. And then they got the okie doke, but it's a bunch of Asians who did that. Trump wasn't nowhere near a White House. Nowhere near it. Now, listen to this next part here. The commission established by H.R. 40 shall be composed of 15 members who shall be appointed as follows. 3 members shall be appointed by the president. 3 members shall be appointed by the Speaker of the House of Representatives. 3 members shall be appointed by the President pro tempore of the Senate, and 6 members shall be selected from the major civil society and reparations organizations that have historically championed the cause of reparatory justice. Now they talking about in Cobra and them clowns, so we covered this before. But by the way, when you say it like this, wouldn't this be an opportune time for Donald Trump to go ahead and approve this? What? Folks, if Donald Trump, why would he not call together a commission on reparations? He can choose members and House of Representatives can choose them and Senate can choose them, and then they can say, okay, we have examined it and y'all don't need nothing. Well, we held our commission, we examined it, now we don't need nothing. Nope, Negroes is fine, just need to work harder. You need to work harder at overcoming white supremacy. You just need to work harder. So when you think about it there for a few moments, if this is the strategy, Trump should just go ahead and sign your damn bill now so he can him and the Republicans can appoint everybody, and yeah, that'll work. That'll work just fine. That'll work just fine. Now, by the way, just in case anybody thinks that I'm just being difficult for the sake of being difficult, just in case you think I'm being difficult for the sake of being difficult here, I'd like to go back here and show you one more time what they're talking about. This is the actual text of the bill itself. While other people are talking about it, just showing it to you here, this is what it actually says. And you know it's been updated because it has her name in it. Has her name in it. Ms. Pressley introduced the following bill, which was referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Let's see how that goes. To address the fundamental injustice, cruelty, brutality, and inhumanity of slavery in the United States and the 13 American colonies between 1619 and 1865, and to establish a commission to study and consider. She's lined this thing with all kinds of trick back. Even for the little symbolic stuff she's offering, she's making that optional. When they put together bills for Jewish people, it's not a bunch of optional language in there. This is what's got to be done. Hell, they do more than that for illegal aliens, and they have no rights at all. They have no except human rights, and their human right is not to stay here. It's just not to get shot when they come here. Okay, we're going to humanely carry you back where the hell you belong. To establish a commission to study and consider a national apology.
What? Nigga, please.
And proposal for reparations for the institution of slavery, its subsequent de jure and de facto racial and economic discrimination against African Americans, and the impact of those forces on living African Americans, to make recommendations to the Congress on appropriate remedies and for other purposes. Now, there's an interesting phrase right there, for other purposes. I'm curious what the other purposes are. By the way, this is why you can't have it. Right here. Your damn thing is DOA, dead on arrival. I'm not going to have it. This phrase right here. Economic discrimination against African Americans and the impact of these forces on living African Americans. Wait a minute, you just removed the lineage component. Do you all realize that? That's the trick bag that she threw in here. Even in a fantasy world where this would get approved, she just removed the lineage component. Living African Americans. Well, she just removed the lineage component. So, here comes your lift all. Here comes your do something for everybody. Here it comes. There it is. That's where they put it at. That is right there. Right there. Now, the short title is Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals for African Americans Act. Commission to Study and Develop Reparation Proposals. So there it is. There it is. That's all this is proposals. Now she goes down the list here talking about all these policies that were enacted against us and how they affected us. That's great. That's grand. That's wonderful. But no counter policies. No counter policies. Now, I want to go here to the purpose part. So, because somebody went to great detail to try to touch on some of our talking points. And I want to show you that they get the point that we were making. Take a look at how they went to great detail and the great effort here to touch on historical things that we've already mentioned here that were only previously mentioned in the new black media. All of a sudden, you're finding this at the congressional level. They hear us. They heard us the first damn time. They heard us 20 years ago. They were always just trying to ignore us. And then when Trump's in office, okay, ignoring us isn't really an option anymore. Let's try to tell them we heard what you said. The purpose of this act is to establish a commission to study and develop reparation proposals for African Americans as a result of, number one, the institution of slavery, including both the transatlantic and the domestic trade, which existed from 1565 in colonial Florida.
What?
Well, just in case you all were wondering if Florida would ever enter the chat and would become part of the discussion. Well, in colonial Florida and from 1619 through 1865, so it went back before 1619 project. Oh, all of a sudden, the stuff we've been saying for decades, the stuff that Chancellor Williams and all of our scholars said for decades, now all of a sudden y'all saying it. You heard us the first damn time when we said it. from 1619 through 1865 within the other colonies that became the United States, and which included the federal and state governments, which constitutionally and statutorily supported the institution of slavery. The de jure and de facto discrimination against freed slaves and their descendants from the end of the Civil War to the present, including economic, political, educational, and social discrimination. 3. The lingering negative effects of the institution of slavery and the discrimination prescribed in paragraphs 1 and 2 on living African Americans and on society in the United States. Huh? Y'all notice how she doesn't just stop? You notice how they keep phrasing it like this. The lingering and negative effects of the institution of slavery and the discrimination described in paragraphs 1 and 2 on living African Americans and on society in the United States. Society? Hispanic society, maybe? Asian Pacific society, maybe? Is that the society that you're referring to here, Representative Presley? Yeah, because you didn't just stop right here, folks. I hate these things are written by lawyers. You got to think like a lawyer. By the way, you didn't stop. Remember, people, you're going to be held to the letter of the law, not the intent of it, or what you interpret as the intent. You're going to be held to the letter. She didn't just stop with us. And she didn't make it about a lineage. She said living African Americans, that's anybody black or Elon Musk. And on society. So she lumped this society in with us. Did you get that? She lumped in society with ostensibly us as the living African Americans. So who is this society that you just put in the car with us? She just put something called society in the car with us. So who the hell is that? I want to know who the hell going to be sitting next to me, because there's not supposed to be anybody in here but us. So who else is in here that she just invited along without our permission? Number 4, the manner in which textual and digital instructional resources and technologies are being used to deny the inhumanity of slavery and the crime against humanity of people of African descent in the United States. The role, once again, you've just blurred the lineage aspect of it. You just killed that. The role of Northern complicity in the Southern-based institution of slavery. That's an interesting addition. The direct benefits to societal institutions, public and private, including higher education, corporations, religious, and associational. Interesting. The direct benefits to societal institutions, public and private, including higher education, corporations, religious, and associational. Back up the Brinks truck to the Catholic Church, and thus recommend appropriate ways to educate the American people of the Commission's findings to advance racial healing, understanding, and transformation. Y'all, do you notice that Jewish people never talk about racial healing? They never talk about reconciliation. When they went for reparations, they did not talk about healing or reconciliation. They were hanging people, they were gassing people, and they said, cut my check. Japanese folk, they didn't talk about healing nor reconciliation, and no one asked them to. Damn! Oh yeah, one more thing. And no one asked them to. No one requested that they talk on reconciliation. It was all business. When they showed up to them, it was just straight business. So what they want to do here is they want to recommend appropriate ways to educate the American people on the Commission's findings to advance racial healing, understanding, and transformation, and thus recommend appropriate remedies in consideration of the Commission's findings on the matters described in paragraphs 1 through 7 and 9. Submit to the Congress the results of such examination together with such recommendations. Yeah. Well, there you go. So once again, what we found out is that for anybody who stumbled across this, that the Democrats are now pushing reparations. No, they're not. They're just pushing H.R. 40 again. It's the same damn thing. From John Conyers to Sheila Jackson Lee to now Ayanna Pressley. It ain't nothing new. They're not offering us a damn thing new. This is the same old same we've been fighting against. Nothing new. Nothing new at all. Nothing. So anybody who stumbled across this and wondered if there was anything new, anything novel, a lemon twist, other than throwing in a few things that we've said before, nope. This is the same old HR 40 that we rejected 20 years ago. The exact same one. This isn't even any different. It's just got some more things added to it, but it's the exact same. By the way, commission. That's all. Commission. And that's exactly what the bill says. The real thing is, that's why I stopped here with the short title. It said this act may be cited as the commission to study and develop reparations proposals. It's a commission. And of course, the insult and the slap in the face that this does to all of us is these other folk didn't need no damn commission. They didn't need one at the city level. Shout out Chicago, Brandon Johnson. They didn't need one at the state level. Shout out New York, Illinois, California, Massachusetts. They didn't need, none of these other folks, they didn't need a commission at the federal level. Ukrainians, Afghans, illegal aliens. Joe Biden was paying for damn me plane tickets to fly illegals into the country. Can't get black folk to get a free damn plane ticket to Cancun or to visit wherever their routes may be from around the world. But he had planes, trains, and automobiles bringing illegals in here. No commission required. Hell, no conversation required. People, that didn't just not only not require a commission, it didn't even require a damn conversation. Wasn't nothing to talk about. We just rolling. The money is just coming. We just doing it. We just doing it. That's it. I want to take a few moments here tonight to go over a few things. I want to take a few moments to go over a few things because there's some stuff I want you to see. There are some things that I want you to see. And you are more than welcome to go check out some of these things yourselves if you want to here. Couple of things I've seen over the last few days that I want to educate you all about. And I've been running around the country and doing things, but I wanted to educate you all about a few things here. We all know what's happening in places like Austin, Texas. Elon Musk is making a bunch of money out of there. He's doing big things out of there. Austin, Texas is really blowing up. It really, really is. And KXAN did a piece about this, that there is a street, 12th Street in Austin, and they're talking about a developer named Eureka that's come through there and is buying up a bunch of stuff. I'm going to skip through this because I can't play everything, but I want you to see exactly what it is they're talking about here. I want you to hear some things in particular.
Immediate neighborhood. There's Grant Chapel AME, that was my church where I was born and baptized. We haven't been here since 1998. You look at it and you're glad that it's still standing and that it's being useful and not being torn down. That's the best thing that I like, is that it's still standing.
There are points in here, by the way. There are points in here. That's great. That's grand. That's wonderful, folks. I want y'all to understand something here. I am so far beyond symbolic gestures. Symbolic gestures like painting stuff on the streets. Folks, I am so far beyond that. I really, really am. These other folks are kicking ass with black bankers matter. Black bankers matter. Black capital matters. Black businesses matter. You ain't gonna have any artists if you don't get this whole other thing together. You're not gonna have it. So I am way past symbolic gestures and talking to people about their personal kudos and their personal affectations and their personal hobbies and can we be seen? And meanwhile, the whole damn neighborhood is getting bought up by the folks with the capital. Well, we all know what this means, don't we? Well, right here where your black artists matter. By the way, I when I did my film Gentrified, I showed you all the telltale signs. Your so-called black neighborhoods, but I don't see none but white folks sitting around. The white women are walking around just doing as they do. And by the way, she's got every civil right to do that. She's got every American civil liberty to do that. However, you know what? Ain't no police gonna run up to her and say, what are you doing here? Now, there's the difference. She can walk through our neighborhoods, but the problem is when we walk in their neighborhoods, we're there to try to buy in to be part of their neighborhood. When they walk through ours, y'all heard the guys, what they said in that video years ago, they're colonizers. She's here to colonize your neighborhood. She's like, hey, I'm here to colonize this damn thing. So the first thing they start doing is walking around, bringing little poodle dogs. Hey, the only thing that your black neighborhood is missing is a Pilates studio and some gluten-free ice cream. What? Yes, sir. The only thing you're missing is a Panera Bread, Pilates, and some gluten-free cake. If you had a vegan cookie store, that's the only thing that you're missing here is gluten-free vegan cookies. And it'd be great. Now you go to their neighborhood talking about making turkey legs right down the street from Austin and Houston. We gonna shut that down. But they're gonna come in your neighborhood and all of a sudden the whole demographic changes.
My mother was teaching in Luling, Texas, when this space became available. She quit, retired from her job, drew down her retirement, and gave it to Dad to purchase this business, this building. Now, when he named it the Victory Grill, because it was 1945, Victory over Japan was the headlines, and that's why it's called the Victory Grill.
Okay, so he was off fighting the war while his woman was over here working because black women have always worked. By the way, for some of the hard-headed, knuckle-headed, coconut-headed feminists minded out there, by the way, black women have always worked. Black women ain't never been able, your grandmama and your mama was never able to be stay-at-home wives and we're housewives sitting around getting pedicures and watching television. Black women have always worked. We ain't had no trophy wives. We have always had working women. So when you're sitting in the room with a bunch of white women idolizing that, you've already lost your culture right there. Our women have always worked and took care of the kids and took care of other folks' kids. Damn! By the way, not only did they take care of their own families, they took care of theirs and other kids and the white folks' kids. And you sitting up here talking about you tired just sitting in front of the television, flipping through the Hallmark channel. But I just thought I would take a moment here to say that, by the way, yeah, that's how that was done. He's off fighting the war and she's over here working. So he has to be a soldier fighting for freedoms that he didn't even have. One more thing, by the way, he was over there in Asia or over there in Europe fighting for freedoms that he didn't even have. One more damn thing. He was fighting to give white people in Europe freedoms that he himself did not have. And yes, the black soldiers got to sit with other black soldiers because the white soldiers didn't sit with their black fellow soldiers. Why, they were sitting with the Germans that they were fighting. What? For those of you who have forgotten, or your parents didn't teach you, because the schools don't teach this in school at all. They didn't teach it to my generation. They didn't teach it to the ones before that. You have to know your history. Remember, the military was segregated. The white American soldiers in Europe were sitting in the mess halls next to the German soldiers when they were eating. So the German soldiers were in the mess hall eating next to the white American soldiers, and the black American soldiers were on the other side of the damn mess hall. In case nobody told you what the men had to deal with. The women were not sent to Europe to go live under those conditions. So if you want to know what he was doing, he was over there saving the world for freedoms that he himself did not have and would not have when he got back. So his woman was available to work because, by the way, one more thing, yeah, that's what he was doing.
A lot of times it was nieces, nephews, cousins, uncles of the family who were waiting tables and working the bar and what have you.
So the next time some jackass tries to tell you about what the Latinos or Asians or Arabs do, baby, we built that damn thing. We been did that. You talk about black-owned business, family-owned business, we been had that. That was always the way we did it. Always. There are a million stories just like this all across this country. If you are black in America, and particularly if you're a freedman lineage, this is what we always had. We have always had this. So what the hell happened? You are a traitor to our people when you talk about the joys of abortion. You are a traitor to our people. Ayanna Pressley will be the first one to sit up here and talk about the joys and wonders of abortion. Okay, we didn't get this by aborting the damn babies. That's not how we did this. And they don't preach that to other folk, just to ours. So if you want to know a concerted government effort, hey, Representative Pressley, we need to talk about you and the Democrats and your concerted conscious effort to annihilate over 70 million black children. We need to discuss that. Because you see, you couldn't have brought in enough illegals to outnumber us if you hadn't been pushing that as government policy. Planned Parenthood gets government money. They get help. And everybody wants to play this damn game about, no, they really don't. Yes, they do.
So it was truly family. It was a cornerstone. This was the place, the first thing to open, the last one to close at night. Daddy was real picky, or not picky, but he was careful that when they started the beer hours where you could sell beer until 2 o'clock in the morning, Daddy declined that. He stopped at 12 o'clock because he did not want to be responsible for anybody not going to work the next day.
Oh, here we go. When you see them words.
The next day.
When you see those words, a city plan. People, I've been saying this now for decades. You all need to be aware of whatever is the master city plan in your city. Every city's got one, especially your major metropolitan areas. I talked about this in Miami, where they're wanting to be the epicenter of the Americas. They want to replace New York City as the economic mecca in America. Miami thinks they see a lane to be like the Dubai of America, and that would make them far more valuable than New York. And they can do it because there's a bunch of New Yorkers and New York bankers and institutions going there saying, hey, ain't no state income tax. So you need to be aware in Houston, Atlanta, St. Louis, Minneapolis about your city's plan. They got a master plan in all these cities, every single one. The one you're in, they got one. And find out exactly what is it that they're aiming to do, all the development that they're doing, all the steering of funds, where they put the roads, where they remove the roads. What exactly is it you want the city to be in 20 years? Because what they're doing today is to get them to the goal of where they'll be 20 or 50 years from now. And if you take a look at your neighborhood, it's not part of the plan, or they renamed your neighborhood. In their master plan, your neighborhood has been renamed. Yeah, they got plans for you. Why do we need reparations? This is why. Because it wasn't just Tulsa, it wasn't just Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, it wasn't just Rosewood, it wasn't just Wilmington. Everywhere across America. And with Texas, they don't want to count those as slave states, even places that don't want to be counted as slave states. I'll be damned, you all practice the same codes. Isn't that very interesting? Now, the reason I want you all to see this, pay attention. People, pay attention. They forced black Austinites to live in a 6 square mile Negro district on the east side. Now, I want you all to understand, keep that in mind. This is so important to tonight's program. Keep this in mind. So we already did the work harder thing. Nobody else had to fight segregation and bombing and government policy telling you where you physically could not be. Nobody had to deal with that except us. And what you find out is that everywhere, even when we were segregated, we wasn't just segregating, we were thriving, we were doing the most, we were doing the best. White folk were leaving their restaurants and coming to ours, a proud tradition that proudly and gladly continues to this day. White folk come where we at. They come where we are. We have always done the best at that, even when we were disadvantaged, even when they had to stack the odds against us, even when they had to corral us. How the hell is it you done corralled us and we still whooping your ass with both feet? How in the hell is that possible? Because that's what we do. Now, they go through a lot of explanation here. They go into a lot of detail about what happened and about this company called Eureka trying to buy up everything on 12th Street there. So in Austin, yeah, they got big plans for that, and they want to grab a bunch of things there. I want to go ahead and skip forward about the city council. They had a hearing, and there were folks there. Believe it or not, there was this one place, there was this one building in particular, this one here. I want to go over a little bit of the details about it, but there's this one building in particular they want to preserve. By the way, did you get that? They've already redeveloped 11th Street. They've already done 11th Street. Now they're just moving over like locusts. Let's go grab 12th Street. It's been damn near a century. Did all the old folks die out? Did we strangle everything? They can't hold nothing. Let's go ahead and move on in for the kill.
These buildings are kind of the last vestige of their achievements, of their culture, of their community, of their families. I think that there is a real urgency to act to preserve that so that that story is not just washed away to the sands of time forever.
I think that's wonderful artwork there too, by the way. That's the kind of stuff that can last centuries, which is why it's important that you allow them to tear it down, because that won't fall on its own. That glass work there, like the Catholic Church, that will last for centuries. You better try to tear it down.
There was a demolition permit for 1500 East 12th Street. And knowing the history of 12th Street, of Black Austin, we were like, this building cannot go away.
Of all of Eureka's holdings on 12th Street is probably the most historically significant that is not yet designated. It really traces the history of East Austin from being, German immigrant enclave to then later this kind of center of Black business and cultural life. This is a big one.
Good morning, everybody. I will call to order the Austin City Council for a regular scheduled meeting. It is December 12th, 2020.
Now, I want you all to pay attention to this part here. There had a city council meeting to discuss what to do about that particular property you just saw. And I want you to see how this went down. I want you to see how this happened.
24.
On December 12th, this person here got the elf's hat on over here. So they had their meeting to vote on whether or not they would designate 1500 East 12th Street as a historic landmark. Watch your screens and look how this went down.
I'm representing the property owner of 1500 East 12th Street, who is strongly opposed to this being listed, being rezoned with a historic landmark designation.
Do you see that? 1500 East 12th Street. Take a look at who they sent, and did you hear what he just said? Now, they're there to discuss 1500 12th Street. Listen who they sent.
I'm representing the property owner of 1500 East 12th Street, who is strongly opposed to this being listed, being rezoned with a historic landmark designation. 12th Street.
So this is their representative that they sent. He's like, oh, I represent the guy who owns 1500 East 12th, or the company that owns it. Yeah, and he's against that. So the bastard didn't even have the scruples to show up himself. The integrity to show up himself. He didn't even have it. He sent somebody else. Shameful.
Who is strongly opposed to this being listed, being rezoned with a historic landmark designation. We don't believe it meets the high bar that your policy requires it to meet. We have two structural integrity reports that both say this property should be demolished.
Eureka doesn't care about people. It doesn't care about East Austin. It only cares about profits.
Eureka Holding Company, which has the right to buy and sell property.
These buildings up here are important for certain reasons. You've got a barbershop with a certain characteristic and style of architecture. You've got this bottom right building, which looks like, wow, it could be any old house. No, that building was listed in the Green Book. There's history here.
I think a lot of what we're facing today is the direct result of what has been mentioned already: benign neglect and disinvestment in a community, and folks who showed up too late.
Well, she's against it? Wow. Now you can see what happened here. In a vote of 9-2, the Austin City Council voted to designate 1500 East 12th Street a historic landmark. The vote was 9-2. The vote was 9-2. The vote was 9-2. These are the two people who voted against it: Natasha Harper Madison and Paige Ellis. As you can see, you only have one Negroid on the Austin City Council, just one. just won, and she's one of the loudest, most vocal voices against the neighborhood. Not sure where her people are from, not sure what her lineage is, not sure about it. But she's got the LGBT haircut. So the obvious question is where her people come from. But by the way, I just thought you all should know that I looked into it, and there were only 2 members. Everybody else is gone. 2 members. You saw it was a 9-2 vote. And I just thought you should know who the 2 are. Paige Ellis, District 8, and Natasha Harper Madison, District 1. Those were the 2 that voted against this. After everything you heard and everything you know, by the way, she was the one who voted against it. Her. Vanessa Fuentes and Mr. Jose Velasquez and Jose Vela and Mike Siegel, Zohab Kadri. Well, they voted for it. They voted for it. These 2, the feminist coalition. So where they find these people? Where they find these people to send among us? Where they find them from? Where they find them from? I put all this out here because I wanted you to understand that this is a story that takes place all across America. It takes place everywhere and all across the country. And it doesn't just end here. It does not just end here. There's another story that dovetails off of this wonderfully. And this goes back to what we were talking about here before. Remember that Negro district, 6 square miles? There's another YouTube video I thought you all would get something out of here from Beaver Geography. I want to play this for you here, and fair use, Beaver. Good work you did there, but fair use. I thought this would be an opportunity here. The first 3 minutes of the video. The first 3 minutes, although I'll move ahead a little bit here. It's about a little town up there in New York. And I want you to hear a few things about this.
Statistics seem crazy, but this is Curious Joel, one of the strangest, or maybe even a smaller city like Gary or West Memphis. You may think that the city in the U.S. with the highest poverty rate would be somewhere like Baltimore or St. Louis, or maybe even a smaller city like Gary or West Memphis. Well, what if I told you it was none of these cities, instead being a community you've probably never heard of with almost no crime, and that this community has the lowest median age by almost 10 years, and that it's the fastest growing city in the entire state of New York. These statistics seem crazy, but this is Curious Joel, one of the strangest and most fascinating communities in the country, which has an incredibly unique culture and is responsible for one of the most important land wars in the country. Today I'm going to tell you about this city and the divisive position it's found itself in. Before that though, please consider subscribing to the channel. We make geography and city content like this every week, and I'm trying to hit 100,000 subscribers this year. So if you enjoy the videos and want to easily support me, subscribing would help me out a ton. Thank you. So I just dumped a lot of facts on you that brings up questions about this community. So let's backtrack and start by just talking about where and what Curious Joel is. So this village, which is also known as KJ, which I'm pretty sure isn't derogatory, is located in Orange County, New York, around 45 miles north of New York City. This is right along the Hudson Highlands, making for some hilly terrain within the community limits. Bordering this village is the towns and villages of Monroe, Harriman, and Woodbury. Curious Joel has a population of around 41,000.
So you all see how their population has absolutely detonated. Hell, between 2010 and 2023, their population doubled. From 2010 to 2023, the population has doubled. And back in 1980, they didn't have a population to speak of.
Massive increase from where it was previously. In 2010, it had 20,000. In 2000, it had 13,000. And in 1980, it had just 3,000. This shows what kind of population growth has been seen in Curious Joel, but it can be easily explained once you know a bit more about the village. See, the community is entirely Jewish, specifically a form of Orthodox Judaism called Hasidic Judaism. This is a Yiddish-speaking form that was created in the 18th century and is considered by most as ultra-Orthodox.
Okay, so once again, this is something very familiar. You see this all over New York City. But if you're in New York, Yonkers, and other places, you see these Hasidic fundamentalist Jewish areas. And they've never been treated the way that we are. Now, folks, I didn't say the way we were. I said the way we are, because hang on to your hats when you hear about this place.
With the main focus on devotion. The town is basically run by religious leaders, which has created a pretty interesting set of rules for residents and visitors. On the city's welcome sign, people are asked to follow the customs and modest lifestyle.
Okay, now this is the, quote, welcome sign to Curious Joel. This is the welcome sign, people. And of course, like any good welcome sign, it's very welcoming. Why, it tells you, welcome to Curious Joel. In keeping with our traditions and religious customs, we kindly ask that you dress and behave in a modest way. Well, that's very welcoming. This includes wearing long skirts or pants, covered necklines, sleeves past the elbow, use appropriate language, maintain gender separation in all public areas. What? Maintain gender separation. Thank you for respecting our values and please enjoy your visit. And they got it down there in Spanish. So yeah, this is the welcome mat being extended in the town of Curious Joel. That was the don't ask what the welcome mat is. That was the welcome mat. Right there. Yes, you are welcome to obey our rules. This is their hello to you. You are welcome to do what the hell we said and obey our rules. Enjoy your stay. And what happens if you don't, I wonder? If you don't, I wonder what happens. So welcome to the town of Curious Joel. But wait, there's more. Hold on just a moment. Because, folks, you ain't heard nothing yet, and it dovetails directly off of what I just read to you there about Austin, Texas.
Which includes wearing long skirts or pants, covered necklines, sleeves past the elbow, and maintaining gender separation in all public areas. This sounds crazy, I know, but you have to understand the way the village is run by the religion, which has very serious customs that have to be followed. Within KJ, though, the Hasidic lifestyle centers around family and specifically children, which has resulted in an insane birth rate. It's normal for families to have 8 or more children, which has brought the median age all the way down to 14.8 years old, which is by far the lowest in the US. This is even higher than it was in 2011, which was 11.3 years old. This birth rate and large family culture has resulted in a lot more oddities in the demographics, though. 90% of the population speaks Yiddish, which, as far as I can tell, is the largest percentage of
Okay, folks, you've heard everything up to this point here. I'm stopping it for a reason. I'm stopping it where he talks about everybody here speaks Yiddish. Wait till you hear the next couple of statistics that he gives.
English speakers outside a native reservation. Over 40% of residents live below the poverty line, also being the largest percentage in the country. Despite this poverty rate, though, there is no homelessness and virtually no crime in the city due to pretty much everyone following religious customs. About half of the residents receive food stamps, and 1/3 receive Medicaid benefits and rely on federal vouchers to help pay their housing costs. A small tidbit for my public transportation people, the village has its own bus system and has a very high usage rate. So there you go, guys. Just move to KJ and become a Hasidic Jew, and you don't need to own a car. It's really not that hard. Now, you may be wondering why the poverty rate is so high. Well, most of the men in KJ devote themselves to the Jewish religion rather than academics, with only 39% of the village having a high school degree.
What? Did you get that? Let me back that up one more time so you can hear that again.
The poverty rate is so high. While most of the men in KJ devote themselves to the Jewish religion rather than academics, with only 39% of the village having a high school degree. This means a bulk of the men don't really work, and around 50% of the employed population works for the school systems to educate the very, 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 very large next generation. Of the men don't really work. This means a bulk of the men don't really work, and around 50% of the employed population works for the school systems to educate the very, 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 very large next generation. But there's even more that goes into the demographics and the...
Okay, so if this is a town of uneducated people, they don't have any industries. The men don't work and the women ain't, they working making kids, then, well, that explains the poverty level. Wait a minute. What do you define as poverty in this place? I'm just curious, how exactly did you define poverty here? Well, I got a few thoughts, because by the way, they're so impoverished that it set off a land battle because they're trying to expand the place.
Process is pretty simple, right? Well, the residents of the surrounding communities don't want this extremely dense, strange community expanding into their quiet suburban communities, so they fight back. The town of Woodbury was incorporated in 2006 for the sake of stopping KJ from annexing their land, since the community can only annex unincorporated land. These tactics continued with the communities having valid concerns. One main concern was related to natural resources. Monroe residents had concerns of the impact Kiryas Joel would have on local aquifers and the wildlife in the region. This expansion was flattening hundreds of trees at a time, and you have to remember they are located within the Hudson Highlands, an important ecologically diverse region. This all boiled over in the mid-2010s when Kiryas Joel put in a petition to annex 164 acres of new land, which residents of towns like Woodbury and Monroe were firmly against.
Now, where y'all coming up with the money from to be annexing things? How in the hell is the poorest place in America? Y'all don't see no black folk, and black people got real poverty. You don't see none of us talking about annexing anything. Negroes trying to figure out how to buy a car. This is the poorest place in America, and they're talking about, yeah, matter of fact, Birdman Hand Road, we're going to annex some things. What is your definition of poverty? How you got money to annex things and y'all broke? Oh, don't worry, I'll answer that one for you.
Kiryas Joel ended up successfully taking the land and also being allowed to incorporate into their own new town.
Damn! Oh, this looks like poor folks' housing to me if I ever saw it.
A huge win for its residents, who were being put in questionable conditions since there were simply too many people for the land they had. This agreement involved Kiryas Joel basically saying, hey guys, we promise we won't annex any more land for 10 years. This came into play when residents wanted to incorporate a new town named Seven Springs that would use another 900 acres to the west and south of the current territory. Residents of Monroe, again, did not like this. This land war is ongoing, as Kiryas Joel's population is set to continue exploding over the next few decades.
And they don't want to live in other folks' places. They want to live in this place here so that basically they can continue this welfare state. But there's a reason. I want to go a little bit further here. Remember what he said about those schools? Remember when he talked about their school district? Thought we'd take a moment to find out about that.
Having valid concerns, but there's even more to talk about here. So remember when I said KJ had the highest poverty rate in the country? Well, what if I told you they might not actually be insanely poor, instead using their large families to take advantage of government welfare while actually being in fairly decent conditions? This is a pretty big gray area, but there have been some issues for the city that have resulted in controversy. For example, a luxurious 60-bed postnatal maternal care center was built in the village using $10 million in state and federal grants. Questions arose about why KJ was getting this money. Another example of some shady stuff going on.
Wait. Back it up here. Now, first of all, let me play that one more time.
Big gray area, but there have been some issues for the city that have resulted in controversy. For example, a luxurious 60-bed postnatal maternal care center was built in the village using $10 million in state and federal grants. Questions arose about why
Every grant except the first came through discretionary funds distributed by elected officials rather than competitive programs. And most of the nearly $10 million in state funds involved can be traced to two politicians from opposite sides of the aisle. Former Republican Governor George Pataki and Assembly Speaker Sheldon Silver, a Democrat. And you know, if you suggested spending $10 million to do something like this for black kids in Brooklyn or Harlem, it would be a bunch of the white and Jewish politicians from both sides of the aisle. They would be fighting against you. Now, there's the reality of it. They would be fighting against you. But folks, listen to me. I'm going to play this part right here. You ain't heard nothing yet.
Maternal Care Center was built in the village using $10 million in state and federal grants. Questions arose about why KJ was getting this money. Another example of some shady stuff going on was a $14 million funding scam where 7 people, including a rabbi, stole money from a technology program designed to help underprivileged children. They were all arrested. Finally, there have been some ongoing concerns and court cases related to the public school system entirely located in Kiryas Joel. The obvious concern is the separation of church and state, which isn't the easiest thing because the entire school system is run by religious leaders. You can't really put 100 Hasidic Jews in a room and expect them to not talk about religion.
Okay, folks, here's the thing. So you got a school district that for the school, they were given $10 million in public funds. That means if you're black in New York, your money went to go spend this while they tell you they can't do nothing for black folk. And your money went here. And this rabbi stole $14 million. People, listen to me. Chump change. Chump change. Remember what I told you before about 6 square miles. And this place here is certainly better than that. Folks, you ain't heard nothing yet. Look on your screen. What? Damn. A tiny Hasidic district won't explain how it's spending $94 million in relief funds. What? Now, we're talking about an isolated place, and now they're talking about COVID funds, people. They're talking about for the pandemic. No, don't believe me. Don't believe me. Founded in order to uphold centuries-old ultra-Orthodox traditions, the tiny district in New York's Hudson Valley caters exclusively only to families in the Satmar sect of Hasidic Jews who have children with disabilities. It remains largely closed to public scrutiny. Most recently, school officials refused to address how the system of less than 500 students is spending nearly $94 million in federal pandemic aid designed to curb learning loss and other effects of one of the worst disruptions to education in American history. Folks, do y'all think they needed more money for homeschooling or something? To put that amount in perspective, listen to this. To put that in perspective, in the last round of funding alone, the Kiryas Joel Village Union's free school district received over $95,000 per student, nearly 40 times the national average and more than double what New York schools spend on special education students. This is what your $94 million gets. Its use of those funds could raise eyebrows. Documents the 74 obtained, that's the website I'm at, the74million.org, from the state reveal the district is investing over $12 million in upgrades to facilities owned by organizations affiliated with the religious group's leadership. They would come arrest black folk if we did this. They'd have us all in handcuffs for COVID fraud, PPP fraud. Yeah, somebody said, where's Doge? He's getting 400 million. Anyway, the pandemic's exceptional windfall calls out for a high level of transparency and accountability from a school district with little to no separation from a religious community that has openly and successfully resisted government oversight. But the district has avoided repeated requests from the 74 to address how it used the money. Since October, Curious Joel officials have ignored a public records request filed under the State Freedom of Information Law, and Superintendent Joel Petlin declined to answer questions by email, phone, and on social media. The district has also advised others not to talk to reporters about its COVID spending. A contractor who made relief-funded improvements to a district-leased building provided some information to the 74, only to text a reporter the next day asking not to use any of it because, quote, the school simply asked that we not share anything. School systems in New York and nationwide are required to publicly post their stimulus spending plans online. But Curious Joel never has. It doesn't even have a website. When the New York Times raised issues about the district's relief spending in February, Petlin called it a, quote, false narrative. Petlin argued that the district's use of federal funds was approved by the state education department, but oversight could be less than rigorous. Chichiknicki, who left the department in 2020, said, quote, there's a high volume of these types of reports that have to be approved, and the department perennially doesn't have the capacity to do fine-grained reviews of all 700-ish districts. Well, that's how you hide fraud, is make a whole bunch of money go around and then make it overcomplicated. So, there you go. Nonetheless, the state selected Curious Joel as one of about 16% of districts to receive its highest level of monitoring for relief spending, requiring a full day on-site examination of documents and staff interviews. The state has between January 2023 and June 2024 to complete the on-site visits. It's unclear when Curious Joel's will happen. Now, this article here was written in last year. It was written in 2023. But that's not my point. My point is that, by the way, YouTube videos just now getting done about this place, and he talked about the amount today, not the amount of where they've been. That's the thing I'm talking about. Now, that video that I just played for you all from Beaver Geography, well, that was from yesterday. They posted this video yesterday. I'm showing you where they went off and did this, where they did this stuff here, 2023. They got 94 million. We're talking about 94 million back in 2023, and his video didn't mention anything. He talked about the 10 million and the 14 million. He ain't said nothing about folks, they've gotten almost 100 million just from COVID, from a place that obviously didn't have any COVID issues because they're an isolated community. Meanwhile, they grabbing black folk, you got 12,000. And what I'm saying is, I don't know if Curious Joel is obviously going to be more than 6 square miles. Imagine what you could have done on 11th Street and 12th Street if we had gotten this kind of investment that these other folk have gotten, and they haven't suffered anything on American soil. Nothing. Black folk have been brutalized, enslaved, lynched after chattel slavery, and continue to be lynched and killed today. Robert Brooks in New York. There is no Jewish equivalent, white equivalent, Asian equivalent to Robert Brooks in New York. There isn't a one. Or Sean Bell, or Eric Garner, or the list goes on forever. And yet, take a look at what the folks who ain't got no problems are getting. And by the way, this is our tax money. They're taking money out of black folks' pockets for Jewish males who don't have to work, so that they don't have to work. Now, people, we all know the status correction crowd. If the status correction dudes saw this, they'd be like, hell yeah, we need to get 800 million. If the status correction dudes saw this, they're like, what the hell you mad at us for? Ronald Reagan spent years talking about the welfare queens. And I'm sitting here showing, you ain't never seen the black community where half the folk were on food stamps and half the men refused to work because they're trying to remain ultra religiously groovy. You ain't never seen that in your life. You've never seen that. I'm talking about with the biggest Pookie and Bushiki you ever met. You ain't never seen nothing like this ever. And you've never seen it supported to numbers and magnitudes like this. Oh yeah. And one last thing. They didn't require a commission, a study. They are ignoring the law. We ain't gonna tell you nothing. It was freedom of information. Well, we got freedom from information for your ass. They are ignoring the laws and every damn thing else. And Ayanna Pressley has sent her ridiculous, contemptible ass out here. I'm dropping the polite damn tones now. Miss Presley, don't come to us talking this damn smoke and mirrors game. You come to us talking the same damn thing you talk to these other folk. If they didn't have to go to a commission in Curious Joel, if they didn't have to have a congressional act, if y'all just broke bread and sent the damn check and can't nobody figure out where the hell the damn money is today, that for a town of 40,000 people, and a bunch of them are children, as we just sat there and determined 40,000 people there, and ain't nobody sat up here and asked, by the way, where the hell's that gone? Where the hell is that? Folks, half of them on food stamps, the men ain't working, and you do realize that if you divided that $40 million by every man, woman, and child in their town, that'd be $2,300 a piece if you divided it up by everybody. But that's not what they're going to do. What they're going to do is take that money, shovel it to some of their friends who own companies so they can go ahead and build things. They're going to take that money and invest it in their community so they can continue expanding and taking other folks' communities. And then they're going to tell you as black folk, you need to work harder. You need to do more. You don't need to ask for a handout. You need to stop asking for free money. Well, what about them Jewish folk up there? Oh, well, they need to stop too. You go sit on your ass. You're not up there in New York taking them to task. If you're not up there in New York doing the Ed Blum and filing lawsuits, then don't. Only folk you talk to is black folk. Y'all are not doing a damn thing about all these other people. They done got the money and told you we ain't got to tell you what the hell we want. We ain't got to tell you nothing. $94 million, people. Do you realize how much building you can do with $94 million? It doesn't have a damn thing to do with schools. That's for the adults. That's for the adults. And I'm just saying 94 million, when you add together all these other numbers that I presented you with here, you do realize that is almost $120 million. Actually, it's over $120 million that I was just able to find for you in a few minutes. Over $120 million. Over $120 million. Do you realize what black folk could have done in Austin if they had access to $120 million of free investment money? Because these folks ain't got to pay this back. This is given to them. You want to talk about politicians who represent folk? Sheldon Silver brought home $10 million for these people. Ayanna Pressley ain't brought us dime one. He brought his people, he just cut the check. Sheldon Silver, for those For my folks in New York, yes, I know who Silver was. He was the guy who said that the UFC would never be in New York State, and then he got indicted, so he crossed the wrong damn folk. But Sheldon Silver, he was a very, very powerful politician in New York. He was the assembly speaker, but for years and years, he was very, very powerful. You couldn't get anything done in the New York legislature. You know, if he was against it, you wasn't going to get nothing done. So that was Sheldon Silver when he was a part of the New York State Assembly. I mean, you wasn't going to get nothing done in Albany if he didn't want it done. So he was Boss Silver was who he was down there until he got took down. But he brought his folk $10 million. He said, cut the check. Don't ask no questions, cut the check. This is not up for debate. It's not up for discussion. It's not up for review. Hit the bread. And then you find out, hell, this was lowballed at the federal level. They were like, man, Sheldon, hold our beer. You sent 10 million, we can send 100 million. Why sit here and think small? We can send 100 million. Oh yeah, no commission, no study, no, well, we'll select some members from this group and that group over here and a few other folks. None of that. They just broke bread and cut the check. Oh yeah, and the politicians who did it, they're not asking, what did you do with the money? Folks, ain't nobody asking. Y'all went off and spent it on more hats and more coats. We can't give you that money. You just gonna go spend it on more yarmulkes and more neckties. That's all you're gonna do with it. Y'all don't need all that. What you gonna do? The men don't work. You already on food stamps. What you gonna do with the money? You don't need that money. You just gonna go put some spinning rims on your wagon. That's all you gonna do. We all don't need that. Sound familiar? Very interesting how nobody else gets that little lecture. Isn't it interesting that nobody else gets that little lecture from anybody? Nobody asked the illegal aliens, what you spending that money on? You know you ain't supposed to be in the country. What you spending on? Nobody's asking them. No one's giving them that lecture. No one. It's only when we show up and say, hey, you need to cut our check and it's got to be a big one. Well, what you gonna spend on? What you gonna do with that? We're gonna do the same thing the Jews did. We're gonna do the same thing the Asians did. We're gonna do the same thing the Arabs did, only as in keeping with our custom. We gonna do it big and rowdy and body and we gonna run the game. We're going to do it better than anybody else has ever done it. And that's what we going to do with the money. We going to build this thing up, blow this thing up bigger and better than anybody you ever seen. We're going to set a whole new standard that you all will be chasing us for the next 1,000 years. You'll be trying to outdo it and fail. That's what we going to do with it. Which is why they're saying, oh, wait a minute, don't do that. Don't do that. Very important that we not do that. So when bull jive ass politicians try to run up on us and tell us about, well, you know, the most we can do for you is a study, then our response to them is, then the most I can do for you is stay home. You were able to make it happen for all these other folk. Damn it. Don't come back here until you've made it happen for us. You want our support. You need to be talking what we talking. Ayanna Pressley, you full of garbage and you cannot be taken seriously and you will not be taken seriously until you start to call out the Democrats. Until you start naming Democrat names. Democrat people, until you start calling them out, we don't want to hear nothing. This damn con job where you, quote, calling out the Republicans, and meanwhile you can only get 1/3 of the Democrats to support you. The problem isn't the Republicans. The problem is not the Republicans, ma'am. You can't get a third of the Democrats to support you. The problem is your party. And until you call the party that you're a part of out, then you're not serious. You think you're running game, and you're going to be very displeased because we're not going to go for it. We're not going to go for it. I guess you all can tell the drive back from New York didn't do very much for me except energize me on this, because I went to go get you all facts and figures and numbers, and I did tell you, yeah, I saw what she said. I saw what was out there. I was busy, but I saw that one. Yeah, I saw what was said, and I want you all to understand it's game. It's game. People, even if she cannot get the law passed, them 70 people need to be calling out the rest of their party. They need to be calling out the rest of the Democrats and say, we all need to be on board with this. And the fact that they're not doing it tells you everything. So she's trying to use what the Democrats are doing wrong and tell you, and this is why we need to vote against the Republican. Without her saying, by the way, my party is the problem. What she really needs to do is sit up here and have a roll call. They need to force a vote on this. And by the way, that politician, remember that Republican politician out there in California said that. He was one like, yeah, we need to force a vote on this so that we can force the Democrats to actually admit they really don't support this. So we can get the Democrats on the record about who really doesn't support this. We need to force them to have a vote among the Democrats to say, by the way, who supports this and who doesn't. No. We don't need no Republicans. All Democrats in favor of this, say aye. So that we can get on the record who it is who's really against this. But let me tell y'all something. They don't want that one to happen because they know that basically as a party, they would be dead. Their political future, you ain't got one. You ain't got one. That's why they're doing this. She wants to sit up here and hold this up as window dressing, but she doesn't want to talk about the actual issue. The actual issue is the Democrats are the problem. And they're doing everything to keep attention on Trump so that we won't ask these other questions. Now, some folks will say right now, well, Jason, the Democrats ain't really in power. What's the point of this? The point of this is the time to discuss our issues is now, while you are ostensibly in a rebuilding phase. This is the time to put our issues front and center. This is the time, now that you all are not in the majority, you ain't got nothing to lose to stand 10 toes down, and you have no excuse for not standing by our issues now. So since you can't actually do anything, all you're really going to do is confirm whether or not in principle you agree with this. Okay, we're not going to get any legislation. Fine. Who here agrees with us in principle? Whether we can get this passed or not. Who here says, hey, we can't get this passed, but I still think it's the right. I think this is a noble and worthy thing, even if we can't get it put in the law. Raise your hands if you agree with that. And you don't want the Democrats to do that little roll call, because you'll find out that Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders are the rule. And when I say that, I'm talking about as far as funding black people, protecting black people from predatory lenders, predatory developers, predatory policies. Bernie Sanders doesn't believe in protecting any of us. Now, for Jewish folk, Bernie Sanders will be 10 toes down. It'd be exactly the opposite thing. We show up over here and all of a sudden Bernie Sanders, he don't know what to do. And Elizabeth Warren, all of a sudden she don't know what to do. Folks, wake up and recognize what the game is. The game is to empower every single other group in the country except for us. The goal is to empower everyone else so that they're a buffer class that bogs us down and overrides us and do something for everyone except us. Which is why every time we show up, their knee-jerk reflexive response is, nope, can't do anything for you. We'll study it, but we can't do anything for you. Now that's an evil party. That is an evil, demonic, diabolical party right there. It's an evil one. And that's the reason why they do not have our support. Now, what they're wagering on is that 2024 was a fluke. And that if Donald Trump screws up badly enough, then people will scramble for the alternative in 2028. And we're here to tell them that, by the way, we will not forget you in 2028, because the issue isn't, are you not Donald Trump? The issue is, are you with us? And right now, that's not what they have. So the Democrats are back, and as I predicted, they're adopting our language, adopting our vocabulary, adopting our vernacular, using our phrases, using our talking points to try to hoodwink us into thinking that we really 10 toes down, we really with y'all. And then you look at it, it's like, wait a minute, this is just HR 40 again. So them body blows got through, people. The body blows got through. They took an absolutely brutal street corner beating in the election. They understand that the issue is policies. Your policies are wrong. Your policies are bad. Your policies are losers. So they said, well, we'll address that by coming back with some new policies. And what they're showing you is, no, we're going to tell you that, but we're not doing anything. We're not doing anything. Even for what they could do, like, yeah, we're not doing nothing. We just want to do a big splash. Oh, hey, reparations now. All right, y'all need to come on back over here. Vote Democrat now. We're going to do some reparations. Okay, how big the check going to be? Well, we're going to hold a commission. Wait a minute. Nobody else gets the damn commission talk. Just us. So I guess while you're over there figuring out what reparations is, we gonna be over here figuring out something other than voting for you. And since Donald Trump is in the process right now of deporting your constituents. By the way, people, one more thing, with a few exceptions. That New Jersey Turnpike through Hoboken is a beast. What? I will say this. I had the misfortune of being on that damn thing at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I thought I was smart by getting a 2:30 start. I had the misfortune of getting on that bastard at 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Oh, man. And I got a story to tell about that, but that thing through there is a beast. Ain't nothing moving. High speed chase me ass. I could have got the hell out and walked. I could have left my truck up there and got the hell out and walked. I'm serious about that. I literally could have left my damn truck where it was. The traffic didn't just slow. It came to a complete standstill. Had one little old police officer out there. One little old cop, and he freezes, and he got the big green jacket on, and he just like pointing one little old arm. I felt sorry for him. I'm like, oh, that was bestial. Okay, but once you get back around to 95, when you get back around there, y'all, traffic was just moving so nice. Oh, I got to tell y'all, traffic was just moving so nice. Coming up 87, now you know when you go up 87, you got a few snags there because that whoever the hell laid them freeways out need to have their ass beat, not their ass whoop, but their ass beat. But other than that, except those areas there, man, traffic is actually got a little bit better in New York. My New York people, can you feel me? I'm sure the BQE is still a zoo. I'm sure it still is, but y'all, as far as some of the other stuff there, getting around New York, it's done got a little bit easier. Never thought you'd see that in your adult lifetime, but yeah, getting around New York has done got a little bit easier on them freeways. I would say it's gotten about 10-15% easier. I sure would. Oh yeah, I hate to say this, but I'm gonna say it. The little housekeeping lady, she was speaking a little Spanish and things. She was smiling at me and everything else. I'm not going to say she was trying to talk to a player. I'm just saying she was, because she looked like she about 60 years old. But she was smiling and congenial. I'm like, oh, this is different. This is different. I'm like, wow, she's smiling big. Yes, sir. She was as nice as she could be. She was as I guess they're all scared that now we're gonna turn to like that meme. You know, the meme of the black fella with the glasses on the phone. Yes, may I speak to Ice? Yeah, yes. Is this Ice? I like to report something. Yeah, buddy, I don't know what's going on. All I know is it's a little bit easier to get around now. I didn't say it's great now. New York got a ways to go before it's great, but what I will say, things done got a little bit easier. Oh man, what happened? I was out there moving around on a Friday, so it don't get no worse than that in New York City. Friday night in New York City, it literally can't get any worse. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. But I should have got like a 3-hour head start on that. It was awful. Underestimated every damn thing. But I will say one thing, by the way, you can breathe a little bit easier through there. Oh, I went to Aldi. Oh man, I'm saying too damn much. I will say I was over there in that area. So I was over there in New Jersey. So yeah, y'all know me. It's like if I'm just passing through, I'm not gonna stay in New York City if I ain't just got to. So I'm over there in Jersey. And where was I at? Hackensack. I think I was in Hackensack. And I went to Aldi. And y'all, I mean, I was in and out of Aldi in what? 10 minutes? With 8 minutes of me walking around grabbing. Boy, getting in and out of Aldi was so damn easy this time. Oh, when the hell you heard that? There were more people in traffic on the street than there were actually inside the store in Aldi. I don't know who cars, there were only like 15 people in the stores, like 40 cars outside, but only 50 people in the store. I got in and out of Aldi so damn easy. I picked up some bread, some sliced turkey, some smoked cheese. You know how single men think. I got a few other things there. I forget off the top of my head, but I got a few knickknacks. You know, just enough to keep things stable here. I don't like a whole lot of stuff going on, but man, I'm talking about got in and out. They had like three register lanes open. You figure this was the afternoon I went over there. You would have figured it'd be packed. Oh, nigga, no. Oh, no. Life done got a little bit easier. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying I want to live there. I'm not saying that part, but I am saying I noticed a difference. I did notice something. So for those of you that I went to Aldi's, and by the way, Aldi's is like it's like Big Lots if Big Lots was a grocery store. Everything is off brand. The only brand I recognized was Damn Me Ritz. They had Ritz crackers there. Literally everything else is some off-brand stuff you ain't never heard of. So I don't know what Republic of Bavaria they source their food from. It's like being in the big ass Big Lots. It's a bunch of names I don't recognize. Who this? Which part of the Purina company you come from? Where is this? Who is this? Who in the world is this? I don't recognize any of these names. Ain't no Wonder Bread. There's brand name nothing. Brand name nothing. So it's like a really nice version of Price Low. How many of y'all live in a place that has Price Low? It's like a really nice version of Price Low. It's like that. It's a nicer version. They got better lighting, but it's a nicer version of Price Low. That's what Aldi is. It's a nicer version of that. You ain't gonna recognize nothing. I don't know who this is. Has an inspector checked in? Thank God they ain't got a deli, or a meat market. I'm like, oh, I failed inspecting the health. But yeah, like I say, is you go up in there, you don't recognize a damn thing. It's like, who in the hell supplies this stuff? But all right. Oh yeah, forget a shopping cart, forget that. Everybody was walking around with these green bags. I'm like, okay, you're in the damn Northeast when they doing stupid stuff. It's like California, they doing stupid things. Yeah, everybody's got them green bags they walked around with. No shopping carts, just a bunch of green ass bags. So, like, okay, no wonder Walmart gonna whoop y'all ass. No shopping carts. I didn't see anybody with a shopping cart in there. It was a whole bunch of people with their little Save-A-Lot. Thank you, Marcus B. Not Sack and Save. Save-A-Lot. Save-A-Lot. I'm from Louisiana. Anybody who knows Save-A-Lot, the old Price Low, but anybody who knows Save-A-Lot, Aldi is just a nicer version of Save-A-Lot. You go up in there and you recognize nothing. There's no names. Forget a produce section. I'm like, I ain't touching none of this Republic of Argentina. So, yeah, it wasn't nothing like that going on. Nothing like that going on. I will say one thing. I got in and out that damn thing in rush hour traffic. I will say that. I got out of that damn thing literally in 15 minutes. I was scared because I'm in Jersey. I got in and out in 15 minutes. I'm like, oh man, what a difference a month of deportations makes. Oh, it must be a bunch of self-deporting. What a difference. By the way, they had eggs. What? By the way, one more thing. They had eggs. Yeah, y'all, the egg shortage has been canceled in that place there. It's like, oh, they got eggs. Yes, sir, they got them. Found that interesting. However, you might disagree. Therefore, we're going to go ahead and open up the Zoom here and take a few calls. I'm not going to be on too much longer here, but we'll open it up to go ahead and take a few calls. We'll go ahead and do that and see if we can make some things happen here. Yeah, we've been out visiting. I've been out seeing how things are going, see how folks are moving. I've been taking the temperature out here. Politicians are misbehaving, seeing if they can pull a fast one and if everybody's going to go along with it. We're letting them know we still on the job. We still on duty. We're not falling for the okie doke. We're not going to jump just because you said a few words that we recognize. We're not falling for it. We're absolutely not falling for it. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. So just forget about it all the way around. We're on your back. We're on your bumper. And we're going to stay there. First of all here, let me thank Nancy King and Andrea Robertson here.
I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. I told you today I'm still the greatest of all time.
Thank you very much, ladies, for your support. I appreciate that, as always, here. Thank you very much for your support there. Also, to everybody else who's contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo, thank you very much for your support as well here also. We appreciate that. My man Cornell Sly, I see you out there. Mr. Richburg, everybody else, thank you very much for your support. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break here. When we come back, we'll take a few calls from you and more. This is the Black Channel.
When you visit MrBeTheTeacher.com, you can get a copy of his award-winning book, Guidelines for the Successful Student. While you're there, grab one of his newest tunes along with fun and educational lyric videos.
Never give up, don't worry, never give up, study. In order to... Times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6. Now swap names, he, she, they, and we. Simplify the daddy divides as the father and guide. Money multiplies and shares on what they buy.
You can also acquire his tutoring services via varsitytutors.com or tutor.com. If you wish to speak to Steve Burgess directly, you can do so through MrBeTheTeacher.com.
The Honey Badger and the Mongoose is a children's story for the family of how a honey badger and mongoose fight an evil alliance of venomous cobra, snakes, and hyenas that overhauls the balance of the savannah. The Big Five. The honey badger demands reparations. Will the Big Five give the honey badger reparations? Can the evil alliance of cobras and hyenas be stopped? The best new price for the hard and soft cover is at www.thehoneyBadgerandthemongoose.com. You can also find this book at Amazon, Audible, and Kindle.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN KICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening here. Very briefly here, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to tonight's program. I know I missed last night. It was a long-ass drive. I had a choice to make. The weather, you've been having winter storms come through, and I went to New York in a winter storm, and it was just doing this whole damn thing the whole way up there. And, I'm not really great for that kind of thing, but it was an interesting experience. I learned some things from it. But I decided to just go ahead and start driving instead because I thought it would risk less. So I just decided to just keep going. And, it's rare for me. It's rare for me to miss a program. The further south I got, the more it was raining. So it was raining and cold, and there were just wrecks all over the place. So, but I just decided to just keep on driving and keep on going in an attempt to just limit my exposure. And I just figured, well, it's nighttime, so there's fewer people out here. And if I just keep driving, because I saw wrecks on the way up and then I saw wrecks on the way down, and there's just crazy stuff going on. So I've been out there in the winter storm I got footage of it, as a matter of fact. I'm driving in the damn snow when it started. So that's why I'm glad there was fewer people on the freeway. There were fewer people out there, but that was going on. So like I say, so I want to thank everyone here. They're welcoming me back. I appreciate that. My man Black Voltron Project, Leroy, Cyberdyne, over in Trucking, O'Brien Trucking, Angela, everybody here. I can't name everybody because ordinarily I stopped the program, but I see all of y'all. Creole King, Tom Slick. Shout out to all of y'all. I appreciate that. Folks done bought some memberships here. Black to Deaf bought some memberships. So thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that from everyone. Mark B and everybody else, thank y'all very much here tonight. I appreciate that. They're making up for lost time. Let me go ahead and see if I can jump over here on Zoom. Okay, we got Sir Rhodes here on Zoom. What's on your mind, sir?
Yes, sir. Mr. Black, thank you for taking my call. Earlier, you were talking about the Austin deal, right? I wanted to tell you about a story that I didn't know if you knew about it or not, but I used to have a contract working out in Austin, and this was around 2018. But I had already knew about about all those black people, particularly the older black community that lived on the east side of Austin, which is right off I-35. It was like prime property, right? But in 2018, I heard about the stories of them going back and forth with trying to offer them black people money for their land, but they didn't want to sell. So they had going back and forth for about 2 years or so. And all of a sudden, there was some bombs that were put on their front porch. And they were in like these FedEx boxes. And there were 2 people that got killed. So when the old folks would go out and check the front, when they see these boxes, there was one lady that had a grandson living there, and the box exploded and killed him. And then there was another female that was killed, Hispanic. And then when that happened, black people started selling their land because they were scared. And once we heard about it, we knew exactly what it was. So that was just really, really unfortunate. I didn't know if you knew about that story or not.
Yeah. We've talked about that before. So yeah, that
Okay.
was those kind of things happening there, and using tactics, and they'll always have a fall guy for that kind of stuff. But we've always been in the crosshairs, and Austin. like I say, historically, the two places in Texas people have talked about the most are Dallas and Houston. So that's where all the focus is gone. Austin has flown below the radar. Okay, it's the state capital. State capitals are always going to do better than most other cities in their states are. But Austin has flown below the state capital when you compare it to like Dallas and Houston. No major sports team. It's not a major media market. No, it's just had its value explode. And when you got the mayor of Austin talking about he wants it to be the San Francisco of Texas, that's one of those places that's done that. There are a few others that are doing it right now. San Antonio is doing that. Laredo is doing that. But Austin has really flown below the radar, and it's had a decent black population there. So now that Austin is bringing in, some tech money and some, financial services money and stuff like that, it's like, it's time to get y'all up out of here. By hook or by crook, everybody is taking a look at as usual, they're taking a look at where we at or where we were and be like, you know what, if we clear out these 5 or 6 square blocks here, we can build a whole bunch of luxury housing to make sure you can't never return.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let you have the last word.
Yeah, definitely. Like when you look at, if you compare Austin to Dallas, right? In 2020, Dallas had about 1.3 million in population. But Austin, as small as it is compared to Dallas, they had 1 million. So it's like, whoa. That's a huge difference compared to how big Dallas is versus how small Austin is. And another thing, I'll say this and I'll land my plane. In regards to this, these Democrats, man, with this HR 40, when I hear lies, to me, it should be easy to just debunk lies. My question to them is, why did you change the verbiage, from HR 40? And when you give me a reason why you changed it, then why wasn't the initial version sufficient enough? And if they can't answer those questions, man, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So thanks for taking my call, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you for giving us a call tonight. And like I say, for Dallas, though, is the thing about Dallas is you got to add all that. You got to add all of that there. When you have places like Dallas, Texas, when you add up that metropolitan area, that metroplex, man, you're dealing with 6 or 8 million. I mean, you're dealing with millions and millions. So it doesn't work that way. When you go to like a place like Austin, it's not going to work that way for them. But then again, it doesn't have to. Because they're benefiting from it. Like I say, they're building these huge structures out there like Elon Musk, and they want to build some microchip foundries. So they got access to all this big plots of land right outside the city districts, outside the city limits, and it benefits everybody who works in it. So the major development is out there, and then the housing values can increase over here. And of course, you are targeted for removal. You're targeted for removal. All right, let me go ahead and see if we can get Brother Elijah up here on Zoom. Brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Hey, what's going on, big brother? How you doing?
All right, Brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Nothing.
Hey, nigga, they got that hairline coming in good for you there.
Yeah.
What you say? Them Turks done fixed you up good there, boy. That hairline is kind of struggling a little bit now. You still two-tone, but yeah, them Turks got you. Them Turks got you hooked up a little bit there.
Brother, we ain't even finished yet. Expect to hear me calling into your program in May. I'll be back out there. We gonna now we going after the gastric sleeves.
I'm about to say, nigga, you about to have them Turks with some Dubai money. You keep this up, so it's. Elijah said, look at him. He clearing out the 401k, y'all. Elijah said he got the hairline together. He said, ladies, watch out.
Yes, sir.
He coming back with a vengeance, y'all. He said, ladies, I'm coming for you.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir.
Y'all, Elijah going to be off the chain, y'all. He is going to, once the hairline get together, the hairline and the waistline get together, Elijah going to be stacking up females from here to Pacoima. Everywhere he go. Y'all thought Usher was bad. Oh, wait till Elijah get a chance to start choosing. Oh, ain't nothing safe out here, y'all. Ain't nothing safe. Nothing safe from graduates to grannies. He ain't turning nothing down but his collar. Oh, I'm scared for what's about to happen out here. Let me go get as many as I can before Elijah hit these streets, because when he hit it, oh, it's over.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Big brother, I got a question. Before I say anything, excellent broadcast. This broadcast is one like no other. Just put me in a real zone, especially when I saw that that different city in New York State, and then I thought they was gonna initially mention Monroe, New York, because they do have a bus system that transfers the Hasidic community, if I'm correct. It transfer them takes them to and from Monroe, New York. So they actually have a bus service Monroe. But I noticed something when you did the comparison to Austin, Texas, and then when you was mentioning with that mayor, when he said he wants to make the city of Austin the San Francisco of Texas, I do have a question. Did Elon Musk possibly, knowing or unknowing, I don't know, did he possibly move down to Austin purposely to gentrify them black residents down there?
Well, not saying that whether or not that would be necessarily deliberate. Obviously, when you're going to give somebody a couple of $1 billion, then obviously it's going to be an effect. Look, gentrification has to be paid for. And there are certain other things you have to have. You can't just wait for one developer to come in and whatnot. Gentrification requires elevating, local median income. So a car plant, you can hire the general public for that. Although with electric cars, it's going to be a little bit different, but certainly it's more technical. So the folks he would be hiring, and he brought a bunch of them with him. So he's real big. Remember, I talked about this before, the H-1Bs, he hires a bunch of people from outside the country. So he brings in a bunch of non-Americans. So in that respect, you're absolutely right. You're dead on the money. That's been his business model. California, far more accepting of that. Texas, culturally, not as accepting, but y'all done gave him the damn thing already. The governor of Texas, remember Greg Abbott, they worked that deal out. So you've already given him what he wants. He's got free reign to make it happen. And he's going to do it. And what happens to us will be a conscious or unconscious side effect. He certainly does not care about it. It's just like, hey, if you can't make it, too bad.
Brother, especially when you let's go back to what you was talking about with the Jews. I remember years ago, and I'm going to be quick because you do have other callers, and I'm going to respect that hands down. But I remember even in Brooklyn with the Hasidics, they stayed on one side of Flushing Avenue in Brooklyn, but until possibly maybe late 03, 04, they started moving past Flushing. Then they went all the way up to DeKalb, and they're still pushing further down. And
all out there on Ocean and the letter streets and whatnot.
Right. But this one, they stayed on the Williamsburg side because they had Williamsburg for years. They started pushing down to even in Bedford-Stuyvesant, where the black residents were, and everything like that. And
well, the issue is it's difficult to do that because remember their religious practice, and I've seen that in their enclaves up there in New York.
Yes, sir.
These are not the Jewish folk who do a bunch of big business and the Wall Street types. These are the fundamentalist religious types.
Yes,
and
sir.
so they it's a symbiotic relationship. I can't say symbiotic because it's culturally symbiotic. The Jews who are out here moving things and moving weight and moving money, they're the ones who go and buy that stuff over there off of Flushing and Flatbush and Ocean. It's been in the news about it. They buy these big structures. All the other Jews live there. They're on food stamps. They're on Section 8. The biggest Section 8 landlords in New York are all Jewish. And
yes, sir.
A lot of them, they set those things up. They won't rent to anybody who's not Jewish. So much for DEI. You got Ed Blum talking about that and whatnot. He's never sued his fellow Jews about discrimination in housing. We can show that to you right there in New York. He can't find his way to the Supreme Court for that one. But
yes,
they've been doing that now for decades. It's been the New York Times. Folk have been talking about it. Yeah, they talk about it. They ain't doing nothing about it. Now you let you and me try that, and here comes Donald Trump and Ed Blum, and that's DEI. You can't do that. So, like I say, they've been doing that, and that's been the business model. That's not new. That's been the business model. So
yes,
they
sir.
buy these, the ones who are out here making money as the landlords, they buy these structures, and then the folks who want to practice the religion get the benefit of it and get to live there. And the benefit that they get from it is, okay, what happens, and I'm not speaking out of turn here, it's just a fact.
Yes, sir.
most of your Jewish population, doesn't marry other Jews. I mean, they're the people most likely to marry outside their race or outside their ethnic group. So what happens here is when you have these business people who are still about that Jewish life, he ain't gonna have a bunch of kids. So it's not gonna happen.
Yes, sir.
The Jackie Masons and whatnot, I mean, the folk in that ilk, Steven Spielberg, they're not gonna have a whole bunch of kids like that. So they see it as their duty to support the ones who will.
Yes,
so
sir.
if the Hasidic ones are going to have 8 or 10 kids, as far as they're concerned, okay, that's an offset for me not doing it. So that gives them their incentive they're basically investing financially in the people.
Yes, sir.
Because them kids going to have to leave at some point. And a lot of them are going to they're going to get tired of that Hasidic life and be like, hey, I want to drive a real car. And
yes, sir.
That leads to a lot of lossage where they're concerned. The religious elders can only hold on to you for so long. You are never going to get the benefits in Curious Joel that you're going to get in Manhattan. You ain't going to get it.
Sir.
So the kids, when they get a taste of that, they ain't coming back. Not going to do it. So but you've got the numbers now. So at least they'll be Jewish out there as opposed to never being born at all.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's the mentality behind it. So the ones who got their paper together, that's how they form this relationship of supporting the ones who don't.
Yes, sir. Well, brother, one last question, and I'm going to land my plane with this. Now that we've seen all this, and then you was talking about the year plan, where does that leave us? And I'm going to land my plane right there.
The year plan?
Yeah, you was talking about the looking at every city's excuse me if I didn't articulate it right.
Oh, the 20-year the 20-year development plans.
Yes,
Look,
sir.
the bottom
Yes,
line
sir.
is every black person needs to be aware of what that is. You need to go actually see what it is. So
Yes,
that
sir.
because black folk are living, they're just trying to survive, and I get that, but please understand the city council is meeting whether or not you living and surviving or not. The
Yes,
city
sir.
council is planning and plotting, and as you just saw, the damn developers are showing up.
Yes, sir.
So the folk who are sitting up here dispossessing us, gentrifying us, scheming against us and whatnot, undermining us, they're showing up.
Yes, sir.
I'm not saying you have to be there for every single one, but we should at least be aware of what the hell they've been plotting on, because that is where the money, when they start allocating money, they're allocating it in line with that plan that they voted on.
Yes, sir.
So everything they do is going to be, okay, is this forwarding the plan or is it not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, big brother. I am B1 to you and the family.
Thank you very much for giving us a call.
Thank you.
I got Dominique on the line, y'all. Okay, we're gonna have a vote here. If y'all, if you want me to, if you okay with me talking to Dominique, you can give me a thumbs up. If you want me to overlook Dominique, if y'all contribute $50, I will overlook Dominique tonight. Dominique, I will kick you to the curb. If they give me $50, your ass is out of here. So we're going to kick Dominique. If y'all put your money where your mouth is, if y'all are that serious, if people are that serious that if I get $50 in the next few minutes here, they're like, Dominique, they put money on the table and said, Jason, we are paying for the right to interrupt his ass. So if y'all are that serious about it, we'll bypass Dominique. We'll bypass Dominique. So we'll see what the people say. We'll see what the people say. In the meantime, let me go ahead here and check and get Gene's iPhone. Okay, we got Gene on Zoom. What's on your mind, Gene?
How you doing, brother? I just wanted to say the Democrats, they are completely finished. They just keep trying to use this, what they believe is to be duplicitous language and the vulgar duplicitous language in an attempt to ingratiate themselves to us like they're fooling us with these feckless damn attempts at gaslighting us, not knowing that we catching on to all of this. We want nothing to do with it. If you want to relate to me, cut the damn check. Full stop. You can relate to me by letting me know how much money I'm getting it and giving it to me. I don't even want to know when you're giving it to me. I want you to just give it damn to me. That's one. Also, brother, I wanted to let you know that Aldi's is a European company, as well as Lidl's and a few other companies that we have in the D.C. area as well.
I agree. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. All right, let me go check this out. Oh boy. Man, just that damn fast. Terrell Evans said, overlook him. Oh, then came antithesis. He said, bypass. Marcus B said, look, I got $5. Will that help? Snatch the Man said, skip him. Williams said, no. He said, I got $5. Oh, boy. Oh, Goshen went deep. Oh, Goshen went deep on that. Intervention! Oh, Goshen said, no. He said, I'm going to throw a C note. He said, see your ass out of here. Goshen said, I'm throwing a C note on blocking Dominique. Here's a C note. Oh, Mandisa. She took some of her webcam money. She said, no, Dominique. I'm not doing it. She said she can't do the Dominique thing tonight. She cannot do the Dominique thing tonight. I'm going to say, Jason, you're rude. How do you know that? Don't say those kind of things there. She knows. It's an AI picture anyway. Come on now. Mandisa, thank you very much, though. I appreciate you doing that now. She threw some of that webcam money, so I appreciate that, ma'am. You got them fellas out there, some of that Twitch stream money. It might be a guy sitting over there in the Philippines. On his computer, sitting up here. But Mandisa saying, okay, what does Mandisa mean? Mandisa means fully paid in Filipino. So I appreciate that, Mandisa. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for doing that. Shout out to all of y'all here tonight. To my man Burke on Venmo. Thank you very much. And Jasmine. Oh, I ain't got to talk about that, do I? Ain't got to talk about that. Jasmine, baby, like I say, we're going to have to make that LA thing happen at some point. LA is going to see me. So thank you very much, Jasmine. I appreciate that. She still let me know, California's still out here, baby. How can we forget? So I appreciate that. Okay, well, where we at with it there? Oh, Dominique. Yeah, okay. Hey, y'all, okay. One time here. All right. We're going to do this one time here. One time. All right, Dominique.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Did you hear what the people said, Dominique?
I'm playing nice, dude.
Okay, they said both you and Patrick Mahomes gonna lose today, so. All right, your ass is out of here. They thought I was gonna talk to him. No, I wanted to bring him on and let him know. Yeah, the people said get your ass out of here. So you and Patrick Mahomes have been ejected from the building. Both the light skins is losing it this year right here. So it's light skinned fellas taking it on the chin this year. 2025 is fresh off to a fresh bad start. Team light skin is getting murdered out here. Dominique, Drake, Patrick, everybody going down. That is it. Team light skin ain't gonna make it. Can't get through. It's all coming down at one time. They figured they had a little bit of runway in front of them. It's like 2024 was pretty good for us. I mean, right till Kendrick Lamar, it was going pretty good right till then. It was that light skin thing looked like it might be turning around a little bit. Just that bit. Damn, back we go. So yes, you got to hold this L. So the people have spoken. Boy, they threw money on the table. I just said 50. These niggas like, look here, we putting a house note. Niggas gonna be working overtime. They were like, Jason, it means just that much to us to keep him out of here. Curtis Rollins, we do not want to hear him. Fats Man, no, just no, hell no. It's not just no, but hell no. All right, boy, this folks let it know. Denise said no. Vet Black, hell no, just not tonight, bro. They're like, we vibing, we good. E.L. Smith, no, sir. He said, we doing good right now. Jason, no, not for the foolishness. And the beat goes on, said, hell no. So they said, Jason, you vibing good tonight. Don't break it up. Don't do that. They said, look, Jason, we'll do anything. It's just here, get him for our mental health. For our peace of mind and our mental health. Can we do that? Can we do that one? So if we can do that, we good. We are good and we can do that. All right, let me go ahead and take a look here. One more. Okay, Church of Black Power. I was about to kick you out of here for no reason, as a matter of fact. I thought you was somebody else for a moment, brother. You lucky I kicked. I was about to kick you out of here. I thought you was somebody else. I'm about to say, no, nigga, you gone tonight. He would have been, what happened? He wouldn't have even known. All right, brother, what's on your mind?
How you doing tonight, Jason? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're doing good.
All right, blessings to you. I just wanted to jump in real quick, take a quick break from my homework because I've been listening to you this whole time, and it's been a magnificent broadcast, especially with the information about the Top Hat community that's out there, basically not telling nobody nothing about that $94 million. That's something that I'm really going to put a pin in.
Oh, brother, let me just break in right quick. That's just one. That's one. That's just one of the egregious ones. We've been talked about what they're doing with the Section 8 out there in those Hasidic communities. We've been talking about that, and that's hundreds of millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. That's hundreds of millions. So, brother, that one right there, that's light work, right? That was just some occasional stuff. That's light work. And that's just one among many. There's several of those communities up there. So New York State holding it down for them. It's holding it down. It's like, because they wouldn't survive. They could not do what they're doing. They would literally starve. Literally in the 21st century, they would starve to death doing that. So the state is like, hey, we're going to hold it down for you. You ain't got to work. You just be there. We're going to hold it down. Okay, yeah. We need some of that hold it down energy, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, you know, it kind of reminds me of the white supremacists who literally take all what they own and put it into trust funds so that their children will be able to qualify for different benefits like going to college to get the financial aid and all that other stuff. And that's when we was trying to figure out, when you was speaking on how would they be able to afford these things. In my head, I'm like, most of these folks 9 times out of 10 have a trust fund somewhere. And that's to make sure that they can say they have no money. Do you feel I'm correct or incorrect on that?
Well, I mean, most people don't have a trust fund unless you get to a certain level of income, because it doesn't make any sense to have it, because you have to have family holdings and things like that. So for most people, there are some who do, but you have to have a certain level of wealth to be able to, for the trust even makes any sense, because otherwise you have to have an executor of it. And what a trust is basically like a holding company. What is it holding? So if you don't have any houses or anything, well, we have stored wealth. Okay, but if it's not being distributed, what do we have a trust for? So a trust has to make sure about how it's distributed, how it's controlled. So it has to be, it's not just all money coming in. It's money going out. It's value going out. So it's not just all money in. But the trust is the whiteness. Brother, The trust is the whiteness. This is why we keep bringing up, by the way, a white person can walk in a bank and they get better terms. And when we walk in there and it's just a no. Or if we do get, money, we're not going to get as much as them. So they make sure this, whatever we get, they get 10 times more. That's the family trust right there. Right there. You and I got 5 to 6 dimensions of separation between us and the black person who has $1 million of disposable money. Not just $1 million, it's $1 million and disposable. Yeah. That's not going to break his life. White folk, they got 1 degree of separation. There's an uncle, there's a granddad, there's somebody they can literally pick up the phone and call right now. He got it. Now, you might not want to give it to him, but he got it. That's the trust. And what he's waiting on is a good idea. So once again, if you have a good idea or something he can use, okay, bam, that trust about to kick in. That trust that's the family trust right there. So it doesn't even require an executor. Their whiteness showing up, and brother, they have conversations that we're not privy to all the damn time. You take a look at what's being built in your city and everywhere. You just showing up places and there's a damn crane. You're showing up places and there's a damn bridge. You didn't even know it was going to be happening. There it is. Bam. That's the trust right there. When you go off and have $100 million project, think about this for a few moments. Okay, so they gave these Jews up there $100 million. You know they ain't going to do nothing with it but go develop some real estate. Mm-hmm. But the article pointed out there, but by the way, who's going to be doing that? Because they're all sitting around talking about they're in poverty. I guarantee there's a bunch of them. I know somebody with a construction company, and he's another Jewish person. So what I'm saying is that they're going to get $100 million, and out of that $100 million, they're about to make 10 or 20 more millionaires. And that matters because that's going to be money while you and me struggling to get 100,000, he's going to be given a couple of million. But that makes life a hell of a whole lot easier going off to go do other things. So while you scrapping for the money, he got it sitting in his pocket right now. Bam. There's your trust right there. And I can show that example to you in literally every major metropolitan area, every city in America. I can show you that exact example over there and over again. It just sounds like fantasy talk because we're not included in that little formula. They make sure you and me is not included in that. We don't get to talk about it. We don't get to see it. We don't get to speak to any of the principals. Brother, do you realize how many contractors there go into building a street, into doing a freeway? And I'm not even talking about a 100-mile freeway. I'm just talking about remediation of one. Y'all have no idea how many contractors and subcontractors go into city work, housing, freeways, drainage systems. Oh man, if you do a drainage system, you're going to need at least 5 to 10 subcontractors. At least 5 to 10. Because each of you are going to do different things. Everybody, for example, everybody's not going to do concrete work.
Right.
You're not going to do that. You don't have one company that just does everything. One company's going to do excavation. Well, one company's going to do survey. I forgot. Got started. One company does surveying, and that's all they do. When they come out, they survey and they give the results. Okay, here's the survey. He's gone. You will not see that company again. The next company comes out, and if they have to mark for, underground lines, gas lines, things like that. Excavation company. There goes another one. Now we going to do the concrete work. There goes another one. Now, if we have to redo a roadway, asphalt, grading, that's another company. And then finally, your finishing work. Yikes. Because in a lot of cases, just like doing the street, it's not the folk who do the asphalt and not always the folk who do the street lines.
Right.
So I just gave you a very basic example. I'm not even dealing with like a freeway or something where we get into not just roadways, but drainage. You got to do all that together. So what I'm saying is that, and these companies work in tandem with each other. So it's like they got folks, one guy does one thing, but they all work as a group and stuff. They got a fella they can call for this, that, and the other. And remember when Donald Trump did the garbage truck thing? I covered this. When Donald Trump did the garbage truck thing. Remember the Republican Party, their man up there in Michigan, I think it was, called one guy. He didn't actually have the garbage truck. And I know what they said. They want a garbage truck, but they want a clean one. We don't want an old one and we don't want a smelly one. So they call one guy. He's mobbed up with the party. Like, okay, I ain't got it. Let me call my man up here. I got a man in Minnesota. I don't remember if it's Minnesota or whatever. It's been so long. But it's either upstate Michigan or Minnesota or nearby. He's like, hey, you got a new garbage truck? Yeah. Can you bring it on down now? You need to hit the road right now. Bruh. So this is a guy who's got garbage trucks. And he knows another fella in another city, another state, who's got garbage trucks. Brother, I challenge you to find one black man who knows another barber in another city. He's like, I don't need to know another barber. I cut hair. Why do I need to know somebody else who cuts hair? I got that covered. I just showed you white men who's like, hey, I'm a garbage truck dealer, and I didn't have one for him, but I know another garbage truck dealer that I picked up the phone and called. And we ain't beefing with each other. And trying to freeze each other out of nothing. Think about that for just a few moments. That's an ecosystem of communication and networking that we just ain't in. And that's by design. Yeah, we fighting over the damn crumbs because they make sure, the loaf's sitting over here. And we don't even know where the loaf is. We suspect there's one, but you don't get told that. You find out later. You find out much later. Oh yeah, one more thing. If you're tearing up roads, for example, you might have to remove poles. So we don't want to get into that. Utility poles. Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
There's all kinds of ways this could go, brother. All kinds of ways. And nobody tells you this, and you don't find this out unless you're on the inside. And the society is constructed around making sure that doesn't happen. You talked about the trust. Brother, being plugged in and clicked in, where every time there's a road project, y'all getting called. You're in the pipeline. It will always be steady work. Your business is always going to be taken care of because you part of the right team. Brother, there's your trust right there. There it is. Because, by the way, they use the word trust because that's exactly what it is.
Mm.
The word trust literally means trust. That's literally what it means. Brother, that's the definition of trust right there. Right there. And that's been generational. I don't give a damn where you at. Whatever city you're in America, you know a story like that in your own. Mm-hmm. Some local company, they've been around for decades. How the hell is it black folk can't stay in business more than 10 years, but these white companies can be there for a century? They've been tearing up roadways since you were a child. How is that possible? He's a part. They got, that's the trust. Mm-hmm. Right there.
Man, Jason, again, you break it down so masterfully. There's another thing I wanted to say, because you mentioned the part about us needing to upgrade our language. And I can appreciate that fully, especially because I wrote a reparations bill, and I'd love to send it to you to get your opinion on it. But there's two things in it that I know that you're going to speak on. And the first thing is it's called the RDAS Act, and the reparation is in the name. So I know that might be an issue, but then also I actually I don't want to say like a limit on the number, but I put a starting number, which is $40 trillion. So I would love to send it to you so that you can look into it and let me know what you think. But the funny thing is, last night, and I'm gonna be dropping a video about this tomorrow, last night, I actually put my bill into like ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT, I said, with the Democrats losing the way that they lost in the last election, and now they're trying to push HR 40, which bill would be better to push? And even ChatGPT said that HR 40 is a nothing burger bill. Most people feel like it's put there to stall the Black community. And ChatGPT said that my bill would be perfect as a structural way to get us out of the issues that we've been in. So I found it hilarious that even the AI system can call out the BS within that HR 40 bill.
Well, I mean, like I say, anybody who studied it, and it pulls this information from the internet, the consensus is already in. There is no, the word is already out. The consensus is in. People are not confused. They know what it is and they know what it isn't. And that's the reason why it's never gained traction, is that once we started realizing, hey, y'all, the black folk in the Democratic Party have been charged with bringing us the trick bag. Now that we're more scrutinizing of them, it's like, yeah, you back with that trick bag language again, we know this. So it doesn't get any traction there. As far as the other issue you're referring to there goes, I think that going forward, and also you need to have a diverse strategy of anything, I think we'd be a lot better going for elements. And it's not a one size fits all. What works in California might not necessarily be the best tactic to use, in Texas or New York or wherever. But I think it's important to start, and it's higher level work, because reparations has been used as a blanket term. And we all understand what we're looking for. But we're going to have to become more sophisticated. And part of that sophistication is isolating specific issues, isolating specific elements. So, for example, we don't have to say reparations to say, give us what them Jews got up there in Curious Joel. Give us what they got. Well, yeah, we don't have to talk about reparations. No, you give us what the illegals got. We want that right there. We never even have to use that. Yeah, there it is right there. We want that. Yeah. What you put together for them in record time. Yes, you move that over here. Yeah, right there. That's what we're getting.
So basically targeting direct strategy and direct policies as well.
Right, direct elements, because that's the whole reason for us having that conversation about reparations. I always say reparations across the board. It's not just, okay, get them to cut a check, which is obviously ideal for that. But what I'm saying is that you can cut a check in more than one way. Mm-hmm. So yes, you definitely got to cut the check, but I don't want us to get bogged down in the idea that there's only one way to do it. Because if there's only one way to do it, then all the bad guys got to do is figure out how to shut down that one way. When you tell them, it's like, yeah, we're going to leave we know we want there, but we leaving that other part there, so we get to be creative with that. Okay. And take a look at what they're doing up there, bro. The Jewish landlords in New York are like, hey, keep Section 8 open. All right, let me get this over here. And then they go take that money. they'll have these tenement houses where they got their people at, and then they go take the money they give them from Section 8 and go build a skyscraper.
Mm-hmm.
So his people are out there in the suburbs or out there off of Flatbush or whatever, or off of Ocean in the places over there. And he's over there in Manhattan building skyscrapers. So that's more than one way. I'm saying that. I'll take that. That'll work just fine right there. But I think we would be better served going forward as a strategy, making sure that we focus on elements. However, we need to be clear about what those elements are. And more importantly, what they're not. Scholarships are not tangibles. I mean, it is tangible, but that ain't the one we're looking for. That's more of the same. Well, Jason, what are we looking for? There are two things that we are looking for in particular. Number one, we need to have direct monetary investment. So it is not reparations, it is investment. So we want direct monetary investment. And non-repayable loans and grants, that's investment too, by the way. The same one you're giving these other folk. So we want direct investment, and we also want direct shielding from harm. These other folks are getting protection. These other people are being treated as special classes, and they're not even being harmed. Yeah, that's what we need right there. Right there. So, yes, we want the investment, and then we want the protection from harm. We want acknowledgement and protection from harm. We need to have, crime bills and laws like that, and there's elements that would even go into those. There are elements that even go into those. Yeah, when we have those, then there you go. There you go. Right there. So those are the two major factors that you'd be looking for. You need to have the investment, and then you have to make sure it's acknowledged that we have protection from anybody trying to harm us once we got our investment.
Okay.
Because what they've been doing is, okay, we'll do X, Y, Z, and then we're going to come gangster you out of it, even if we got to come blow the block up. We'll come gangster you out of it.
Yeah, that's been one of my major concerns with people who are saying we should just go and buy property somewhere and just build up that property. And I always ask the question, what's going to stop them from doing anything like, eminent domain or just bombing us off our property like they did with Black Wall Street or anything like that?
Well, I mean, here's the issue. The issue is, just like I was speaking about there before in Austin, we had large Black families, but we also have to have a generational plan.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough that you just got one or two people over here, because that can be more easily defeated. And now the difference is Jewish people did not have the whole government rising up against them. They're talking about Nazi Germany. We've had Nazi America rising up against us. The Jewish people never had that. In many cases, a lot of them were helping. You had some Jewish lawyers who were, part of the civil rights movement. Yeah, but there were also a lot of Jewish folk who were taking advantage of it and have been helping the Anglos. They didn't have to deal with that. We're the only ones who did. So I'm not overlooking that. But what I am saying is that buying property is useless if you're going to spend for development, you're literally going to spend about 20% of your money on buying a property. Mm-hmm. The other 80% is going to be on the development, or when you're building a house, what they call the improvement of the property. So you're only going to spend a fraction of it on acquiring it. So if I tell you, okay, here's $100,000 and you tell me I found an $80,000 property, we're already in trouble. And this is just some basic math that any developer, any realtor will be able to tell you. We're already in trouble because you obviously are underfunded to develop this. You're not taking into account what it actually takes to develop it. So I'm thinking that you're not really going to develop anything. Well, all you have is a piece of dirt. What makes it valuable is what you're going to do with it. And if that's not already in the plan before you show up talking about buying anything, then we're not going anywhere. So what I'm saying is you haven't been educated enough to understand what really matters. When I talked to Teddy Riley, he was saying that, you don't spend money making a music album. You spend money marketing it and promoting it.
Oh.
The cheapest part is making it. The real money is paying for marketing and promotion so people know it's out there. That's where the real costs come from, and that's why most people can't make it. Also because they ain't got talent. But of course, a lot of folk with no talent who are still making it. But if they're properly promoted and marketed, mm-hmm. that makes up for their lack of talent. So, yeah, if we're going to talk about these things, we have to be aware of what the cost really is, what the requirements really are, and not just having big ideas that are not practical, which is where we spend a lot of our time going. So we have to be more cognizant of that. It used to, when real estate values were lower, that gulf between acquiring property and developing it was smaller. Your grandfather could take $20,000, buy a piece of land and develop it. Just like he could buy a car and a house with months income, not years. You can't do that. Not today. So in the new environment, that metric doesn't work. That's why you got this huge chasm. You have to take that into account before you do anything. And if you haven't been taught that, hey, this ain't your grandfather's environment, you're still operating on his mentality and playbook, and that's not where we at. So that's a huge thing that has to be corrected also.
Well, Jason, I appreciate your broadcast, sir. Like I said, once again, it's another phenomenal one. I appreciate you having me up. B1 family.
B1 brother, thank you very much for giving us a call. Let me go ahead and get Mom of 5 up here. Let me get Mom of 5 up here. Okay, I'm wondering if she's gotten busy. What did she say? The Jews ain't the only ones doing that. Okay, there you go. All right, Mom of 5, what's on your mind?
Good evening, Jason. I just wanted to touch bases on some things I've been thinking about that I feel like are very pertinent to our survival. I really think we're going to have to develop some think tanks to bring some order to our situation. We should not be being policed any longer by the white supremacists with our tax dollars. They're killing us. And I think we have enough people who are interested in that field of expertise. And I think we should try to fast track doing something to that nature in order to protect our people when we're pulled over on the side of the road, you know, maybe for speeding, where we don't get killed.
Well, I definitely agree with that. As always, you know, the first issue that we have is being on code with that, because that doesn't work if you're not on code. Everybody's not on the same page, because you say, okay, we get pulled over and get shot by the police. Remember, the issue that I've always raised is that, by the way, do the folks' families feel the same way you do? Because remember, we've had big issues with that.
Yes.
Where you are very ventilated about it, and then the family's sitting back waiting to see if somebody's going to drop a check. And our goal is like, hey, well, damn, a check. This person's dead over here. So that's part of the being on code part of it. Because what I just articulated to you is that you're talking about public safety. There's a lot of black folk out there who don't understand that. Now, I don't think they're the majority anymore. I don't think they're the majority anymore. I think we made progress making sure that's not the majority anymore, because it's been a while since we heard some really outlandish off-code person jumping up and speaking. I think it's been a while since we heard that. But I think that's an essential part of it. When you talk about think tanks, you know, what we do here is a think tank. I like to think we're rational, because a think tank that is irrational is useless. A bunch of Negroes getting together talking about impractical stuff, fantasy island stuff. You know, there's where we get around people who just want to talk to be heard. They don't have any knowledge of anything. It's not something you can pick up and go do. Status correction is something you can talk about. It's not something you can actually do. Your religion is something you can talk about. It's not something that you can actually do, not something that the rest of the world is required to acknowledge or recognize. So folks who get together and talk about these things, that's kind of important. I will tell you one thing, a think tank, I'm going to be totally honest with you all, and this is why I've been beating the hell out of this damn thing like a drum. We're going to have serious issues making anything happen until we get our legal class situation rectified. And that doesn't mean that we don't do anything in the meantime, because we're going to keep working in the meantime. But until that legal class situation gets rectified, we're going to have you're not going to be able to make a significant think tank until you have a competent legal class to enforce it.
Yes, sir. I agree. And I think a lot of the reasons that we have some of the problems that we have is because of our conditioning. You know, white supremacy is a professional at all that they do, whether it be for the bad, and it's generally that when it comes to us, or for the good. And I think the members of the new black media, such as yourself and many others that I listen to, I think you all are doing a phenomenal job at, you know, helping to what I call pat the afro and shape things up in our thinking and bringing reality to the forefront about what has happened and what will happen if we don't do what we need to do. And it's just time to start, you know, really focusing more of our energy on having these kind of conversations and being less divisive. I hope you don't attack me for this, but I would really like to see the camps of FBA, ADOS, and the rest of the movement for reparations camps come together. I jive with everybody. I'm gonna be honest with you. I give my time and effort to
How's
all
that?
of you all.
How's that working out? How's that working out for you?
I can't say anything bad about it. I've learned so much from you all.
You can't say anything good about it either. You can't say anything good about it either. Let me explain to you what the issue here is. That's all a wonderful, nice ideal. Ideals are for children. In the adult world, we have to be definitive and we have to be concrete. I have no problem, quote unquote, working with everybody, but that is contingent on the assumption, and they have to prove that we're all on the same page towards what we're quote working toward. And therein comes the problem. That comes the issue right there. You have a bunch of folk there and they'll make a YouTube channel and this, that, and the other, but that's not really anything other than making a YouTube channel so they can pontificate. As you know, I do a lot more than that. I just came back from New York and I got footage, people, by the way. Shout out Alvin Bragg. Jason, you in the room with Alvin Bragg? Sure I was. And by the way, I got some to tell y'all about that too. So I got the footage. But like I say, my whole thing is, baby, we tried the unity thing. And I know a lot of y'all emotionally, you're still in that area. I need you to understand something. The United States presidency was just bought by two men, two billionaires, Donald Trump, but more importantly, Elon Musk. And I want you to think about this for a few moments here. Kamala Harris raised $2 billion over the course of 3 months. Elon Musk pulled $250 million out of his pocket in the last 3 months of the campaign. $250 million out of his back pocket. And his man is sitting in the White House. That isn't because they invited everybody in. That is because they were exclusionary. Hell, their whole platform was exclusionary. No more gays, no more blacks, no more illegals. Power is not inclusive. Power is exclusive.
I just feel like so
think. Okay, time for you to listen now. It's time for you to listen.
Okay.
Power is not inclusive. I need you to understand what power is. This is your education right quick. Power is not inclusive. Power is not one gigantic tent. In the words of my man BG, he got rid of 100 pennies and got himself 4 quarters. What you doing is the same old, let's get together 100 pennies. I'd rather have 4 quarters. I'd rather have 4 people who can do the work of 25 than 100 people who can do the work of 1. And they're not doing that very well. You all are scared. And what you've told yourselves is the civil rights strategy, that we need to have as many people as we can. No, we don't. Because that's how you get a bunch of people quibbling over little things, like what you label what you're doing, or what word you use to describe it. That's what happens when you bring in as many people as you can. You don't understand how power works. So let me explain it to you. Power isn't gathering a whole bunch of people and trying to get them all to move in one direction. Power is having a few elite people who are really motivated and get real results. And the masses that you're looking for, they'll follow them. People don't follow other people. People follow results. They follow results. They follow effectiveness. Power respects power. It doesn't respect weakness. All you're talking about is gathering a bunch of people together and that power will be the result. That's not the way that works. You don't get together a bunch of people and, like the book of Genesis, there will be power. No, there will be power and then there will be a bunch of people. Donald Trump is the latest piece of evidence of that. There will be power and then the people gather. That unity you're looking for is for that small nucleus of people, which is what we've done. Ma'am, if your logic were actually a requirement, we'd never be able to get anywhere because the rest, we would have to get to 50% consensus before we had a majority. What we've done has been with only about 5% of the population following us. And that's what moved the other 50%. Not us chasing the 50 and can we get everybody together on the same page. When people see that you are disciplined and tight and organized, they're going to follow you naturally, which is what we've been seeing happen. So I'm willing to work with anybody. I don't give a damn where they come from. I'm willing to work with anybody. I'm willing to work with non-black people. I'm willing to work with anybody as long as we are clear on what the goal and the code is. What you're doing is you're talking about bringing in a bunch of people, which is what we've been doing for a century. And then you can't figure out why nothing's getting accomplished because you got a bunch of people and I know your screen name says Mama 5. So can I assume that you have given birth to 5 children?
Yes.
Okay. You know how difficult that is.
Yes.
How do you you're a mother of 5 people. How do you give the same focus to 5 different individuals? You're talking about just 5. You didn't talk about 5,000 or 50,000, just 5. Yikes. So it's a whole lot easier to have one perfect them and everybody else wants to be like him, as opposed to, okay, let me split my attention in these 5 different directions. And that's why you're thinking numbers will automatically lead to power. That's not the way it works. What you'll have is 50,000 people arguing with each other because you tried to bring a bunch of people in and it wasn't very clear what you need to do first. People will follow discipline. Most people are not disciplined. Most people are not sure. The reason why these other folks got bogged down and we didn't was because Jason Black has spent the last 15 years saying, yeah, I don't want everybody here. I don't want you here. You can come join us when you are ready and prepared to lend to the cause because you see we got our act together. If you're still fighting over what we should do and what we should be named and who we work with, baby, I got the folk you talking about, they'll argue with us about whether or not we should talk to Ayanna Pressley. I'm not downing Ayanna Pressley because she's Ayanna Pressley or because I got a history with her. I'm not downing her because of that. I'm downing her because of what you just brought me. I'm looking at what you just brought me. If Ayanna Pressley comes back tomorrow with something serious and something sensible, I'm going to be the biggest Ayanna Pressley supporter you've seen. But not because I'm supporting her, it's because I'm supporting she's back in the agenda. When somebody's back in the agenda, you go 10 toes down for them. And that's the way that works.
I agree.
But we don't need great, big, huge throngs of people. Well, a little bit here. I mean, I like it over here. And what I'm saying is that if they're over there and stuff, they already heard it. So I don't have a problem working with anybody. The real issue is I do have a problem working with folks who are not going in the same direction. So, and if they were going in the same direction with us, there wouldn't be an issue.
I respect that. I do believe in the concept of people of like minds. You know, we got to gather ourselves together. But
well, imagine having a classroom with 10 different teachers.
Yeah.
Okay, think about that for a few moments. 10 different ideologies, 10 different styles, all trying to teach the same student. Now, not a classroom of students. You got one student and they got 10 different teachers trying to teach them the same thing. That's what happens when you bring a whole bunch of people. Nobody knows who to follow, what direction to go in, what to codify behind. What I'm telling you is our time is much better spent doing what we're doing over here. And we just get folk who are excellent together, and then they make some moves, and that's it. When you talk to them other folk, that's not what they're doing. And all I'm going to say is let their results speak for themselves.
Thank you so much for taking my call. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, she got a big mama energy going. I mean, she's not big mama, but she's got a big mama energy going. I want folks to understand we don't have to be scared to do that. I understand it's very, very tempting to build the big tent and have the big family reunion and stuff like that. I know it's very tempting, but that's not the way power works. Power does not require that. Power does not require large throngs of people. Power requires strength of mind and focus. You're focused and disciplined. Everybody wants to be like you. And that's exactly where you want to be. You want to be there. You want to be there. And I think we made great progress in getting there. And I got back over here on the super chat here, man, Fats, man, there was some other folks there, they weighed in. It's like, no. So they've been very, very clear about that. Curtis Rollins and friends there, they very, very clear about that. So yeah, hold this L, Dominique, hold this L. Black Powder Podcast. Black Powder Podcast snuck into the building. We appreciate that. I want to thank everyone who's contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Thank you all very much for your support here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend. Click that red subscribe button. Click that yellow notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking, best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified Race War, 8 a.m. We are in DVD processing now. Damn! All right, we are in DVD processing now, so I appreciate that. So it is coming along here. Got some other things I'm working on. I didn't go to New York just for nothing, by the way. I didn't go there just for nothing. I didn't go there just to look around, though I did do a significant amount of looking around. So I might come away with a few ideas. So don't be surprised if I surprise you. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you all for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.